Greetings from Podcastville. It's Thursday, the 18th of April. The church is brought to you by Quip. One of the most important things we do for our health every day is brushing our teeth. Yet most of us don't do it properly. Quip is the better electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. You're sitting there going, Joey, why Quip? Why? Because it's sonic vibrations, gentle enough on your sensitive gums. And why? Because people brush too hard. And some electric toothbrushes are too abrasive. With Quip, it's got a 2-minute timer built in that pulses every 30 seconds to remind you when to switch sides, helping guide a full and even cleaner brush. What I'm going to do is this. Why I love Quip is because I bring it on the road with me. One charge lasts forever. It doesn't take up too much space. It's got a thing that I stick on, and it sticks right up so it air dries. That's why I love Quip. It's sanitary, and like I said, dentists love it. Now, what I'm going to do is this. They're backed by over 20,000 dental professionals. That's the real reason I love Quip. Quip starts at just $25. And if you go to Quip, getquip.com/Joey right now, you're going to get your first refill pack for free with the Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack for free at getquip.com/Joey. That's GTQUIP.com/Joey. The church is also brought to you by, let me tell you something. Sometimes I'm sick and tired of fucking shaving my nutsack and the fucking area around my dick. Do you know why? Because I feel like my wife's going to slip and cut it the fuck off. It's the most anxiety I've ever had in my goddamn life. But guess what? The suffering ends now. With Manscaped, you get it done without the pain, without the anxiety, without closing your eyes. You're like, Joey, why? Because they got precision tools for the family fucking jewels. You understand me? Your little diamonds are going to be fucking shining and cleaner. Manscaped has redesigned the electric razor. What I want you to do is this. At manscaped.com, you can get anything you need to make your balls tip-top magoo. They'll be shining, they'll smell good, and they'll keep your dick looking fucking beautiful like Sophia Loren. You understand me? If this is the first time you've considered manscaping, they got a deal for you, plus you're fucking half retarded. You got to be ready for the summertime. You don't want your dick to smell like a Greek fucking salad. If this is the time you've considered manscaping, we got a deal for you. You ready? We got the perfect package, which comes with the lawnmower and the Safety Plus, a safety razor. Plus, it comes with a crop preserver, a specially formulated deodorant so your balls don't stink like 10 dead fucking sandals, and the Reviver, a spritz that tones and refreshes your fucking whole self-being so the stick looks good, the balls look good, everything looks good. Now, the church family can get 20% off your first order when you use the code CHURCH, CHURCH, at manscaped.com. And if you order the perfect package, they'll also throw in a beautiful free travel bag, nice and big, when you use code CHURCH. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code CHURCH for 20% off your first order. Keep your balls clean. It's the summertime. The podcast is also brought to you by one of my all-time favorites, like Manscaped, Onnit. Why? Because their supplements are tip-top magoo, number one in the industry. From the Alpha Brain to the Shroom Tech, you cannot go wrong with Onnit. Oh, Frank Caliendo's in this motherfucker. It's the 18th of April. Kick this motherfucking mule, Lee. How the hell have you been, Mr. Caliendo?
Old. And you're older than me, I think.
56.
56, and you just made me feel 90. Thank you for that.
Well, you look beautiful.
I'm a handsome man.
How you feeling?
Shut up.
How you feeling?
Live this. I'm trying to listen. I'm doing all right. It's funny because I watch a bunch of the show. I knew about your show. We've known each other for a while, but more in passing, a little bit once in a while, just coming across each other. But I wanted to get the tone right for the show. I didn't want to come on and be jokey. And you're not jokey. You're conversational.
We just talk.
Real, honest,
happens,
and it's true. And that's where I'm trying to go in life, and entertainment as well. But it is funny because even looking at you and watching you, there's a duality, and there's something that I see in people that's maybe other people see it too. I don't want to sound like I've got superpowers or something. But two things happen when you look at you, okay? And I'm going to shock my audience a little bit because this is the real me. I do swear a little bit. I don't swear a ton, but it throws people off. So But I watched the show and there's a lot of swearing. I mean, and you guys just look at it as like normal sentence
Yeah, it's
structure.
not radio. It's
Right,
not radio.
right. But I've been very cautious my entire especially entertainment career, because my kids, and I'll get back on the subject I was talking about. My kids, I just wanted to set a good example for my kids.
Absolutely.
I was doing that even as I shouldn't say, like a 15, 18-year-old. I never drank. And part of it, I think, is because I've never done any drugs, never done anything, and it was a lot of control. But I also wanted to tell my kids, hey, I never did any of this stuff. And now, especially the easy stuff, and we had a lot of addiction issues in my family, and I have incredibly addictive personality. So I wanted to learn to do like 1 or 2 impressions, and I ended up, that's all people know me for at this point. So there's that. But my kids, I didn't swear or anything in any of my specials and stuff, and now my kids talk like they're sailors. They're like, my son looks like he's in the middle of The Sopranos.
How old is he?
He's 14.
Oh, yeah, that curse.
Unbelievable.
He's getting his dick sucked, the whole thing.
I don't know about that.
Who you
Don't
kid?
make
You
me
don't know
think-
Dick.
Nah,
What do you think he's doing right now? He's in your bedroom spanking his shit, watching pornos on YouTube.
I don't want to think about
You
that.
have to think about it.
I
It's a
can't think
reality.
about that. I know it's reality.
How old? 14?
He's 14.
At
And in
12,
high
I
school.
was dry humping little New Yorker Reza right now, the Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Come on, let me just believe he's playing Xbox when he says he's playing Xbox.
That's what he's saying.
But yeah, he's just, fuck this. It's like unbelievable.
Did it shock you the first time?
Yes, like
I don't like it.
It totally. This is what happened to me. I spent all this time being clean and safe, and you're this guy. What was I doing? So to bring it back a little bit, where it started, and you're going to have to corral me in a bunch because this is just what happened to me. You have 2 things going on. One of them is I look at you and I'm scared shitless because you have that look, but at the same time, I look at you and I want to laugh. And I don't know, it's those 2 things that make you great. When I watch, because you smile and all of a sudden it changes. You go from Joey, from Joey to Uncle Joey.
Uncle Joey.
It's so.
Put your feet up.
I'm trying to, but I feel like I gotta watch around the
Your
room.
wallet right there. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
I just
take your wedding ring off.
Yeah, there's
your arm is swollen up.
There's a lot of I'm going from trust to mistrust quickly.
How many children do you have?
2. My daughter's 12.
How is her mouth?
She's getting there. She's
No.
Oh yeah, because my wife will teach them the words and because she's like, I want them to use them properly. She's Italian, 100% Italian, so she's pretty much Carmela Soprano, and she screwed up with me. You know what I mean? She married the wrong guy, but she grew up in an Italian household, and it's the real deal.
Yelling, screaming.
Yeah, her dad, federal agent kind of thing. Oh yeah, big, like the real deal.
Now, where are you from originally?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
But I grew up in Milwaukee. So she calls my family completely watered down, at least the me part of it, 100%.
Well, the Italian, I was telling Mike Rappaport that I went up to Milwaukee in '98 to do the comedy club.
I listened to that, yeah.
And the neighborhood, right there, when you walk out of the comedy club, you walk down to the corner, and you just hit the Italian neighborhood. And that bar where the waitresses and waiters were, they had the owner had just got out of jail because Donnie Brasco put him in jail.
Right.
Because that neighborhood was the Ballesteris was their name. So the mob is up there. I mean, there's Italian people up there. Absolutely. What happened to you was the sun didn't hit you right. There's no sun up there. If you would have been raised in Jersey or somewhere with sun, like Arizona, now the Italians should start coming out of you. Because you people are, isn't it like a fucking boot, right? There's an island, Sicily.
Yeah.
What am I looking at you for?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm the whitest person in the room.
But no, I thought you were always from like Philadelphia.
No, born in Chicago, Elmwood Park, Illinois, right outside of Chicago.
Great place.
Born in Cook County, and I grew up in Waukesha, 13 miles west of Milwaukee, suburban. I had a normal.
What'd your dad do?
He worked for the Caloric Corporation, which was ranges, stoves and microwaves and stuff like that. Then they merged with a man, and he lost his job when I was a junior in high school. And he went back to counseling and teaching. When he was younger, he's a minor league baseball player, so we played sports all growing up. But when he lost his job, that was one of those moments, and I've even heard this like in the Jim Carrey story, where he talks about he had the safest job in the world, and then it was just gone, and he had to go find something else to do. Why not take your chances and do whatever you want in life? because you only have that, those chances. Do it while you're young. So I tried comedy after when I got into college. I was in college.
Where'd you go to college?
University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Look at you. So you stayed at home?
Yeah. Listen, man, it's like a lot of my life is just settling, which is a problem. Like I said, I get happy, I get comfortable, and then I don't work to get to the next thing. And that's followed by another period in my life where I'll just commit to my whatever the craft is at the time or what I'm working on. Right now, it's trying to develop, not to develop, but try to develop outside of just doing impressions and having people care. Because when I get up on the stage, the first thing people are looking for is for me to start doing any impression at all. When they hear my voice, they're like, okay, this is great, but it's like Carrot Top having his luggage get lost by the airline, or Jeff Dunham going out without the puppets. People are like, okay. So you have to kind of get them into you first before you get into your, mains, like what they know you for. Otherwise, they're not even going to listen to it. When I first started doing stand-up, let's say I'd get up there and just start doing my Tony Danza impression, like, Johnny did some the mode. I would start doing that without me ever talking, and nobody would listen to me in the show. They would just wait for the next impression. So I started to learn there has to be a little bit of me up top. I heard you talking on one show about how you would go and talk about the city a little bit and, get people involved that way. To me, it was to talk about a little bit about myself so they'd see me. And then I lost that for a while because the money was coming in all from the impressions. So I just went to that and went for the easiest way possible, path of least resistance, and would just go up, do impressions right away. And now I'm working backwards again to try and find people, to give people the opportunity to see a little bit of me, hear a little bit of me, and then pepper it with more of the impressions as almost like exclamation points. Like I talked about this with different people because Charles Barkley's always in the news, right? He's always doing. He
got
topical.
booed somewhere. Yeah,
I didn't
booed.
I didn't see
somebody's concert.
Did he really?
Yeah, he got booed at somebody's concert.
And right there, it's easy. Like, don't boo me, knucklehead. It's easy because you can turn something in. Last year, Western Conference semifinals, I think it was. Draymond Green on the Golden State Warriors, one of those guys. If you love the team, he's your guy. He's your Dennis Rodman. If you hate him, he's your Dennis Rodman, right? I can't stand this guy. He's a cheater. But Charles Barkley, his reaction to him was in honesty and truth. He goes on TV, and I talked about this in my act. He's like, I want to punch Draymond Green in the face. And that's like, I'd never heard an announcer do something like that. That sounds like an Italian announcer, right? Hey, I want to punch this guy in the face.
That was great.
So he says that, but then he apologizes later, and I believe they made him apologize and said this is going to become something big if you don't. But he found a way to apologize because he's always truthful and honest. He found a way to apologize that he could stay true to himself. And he basically went on TV and said, I apologize for recognizing that Draymond Green has such a punchable face, which is not an apology, but it's brilliant because it sounds kind of like an apology and it gets you out of it. But he stayed true to him and it's basically a cheat code in a video game, right? Other people lose their jobs. He just got 20 extra lives, but he set himself up. Barkley set himself up years ago as as an entity. When he was playing basketball, he went out and said, I am not a role model. Then he constantly went out there and proved it. And now he has a persona. He gets to be that guy. And now you're set because you have your point of view and people, well, that's Charles being Charles, or he's going to be honest. And it works. And a lot of what I've set up in my stage presence over the years is, well, I'm going to put on a show for you. And guys like you go up there, and some of the people that I look to now and go, how do they do that? You go out there and find a way to have yourself go straight to the audience. And that's a key thing because you can always be, you might ramp something up to be more for television or a movie or something like that.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, but you might do it, but it's still you.
When you come here, the first thing they say to you is write jokes based on your sitcom.
Right.
So you could paint a picture for the agents and the casting people and the producers and the writers. I saw 20 comics that destroyed their career by doing that in 98 to 2001. 2002, they were giving away those $500,000 deals.
Right.
So people went from going up there and saying, I want to run over a black guy in a car today, to going up there and talking about, for starters, my little girl, I picked her up at school today, and I saw it. And I saw it. I saw the transformation of a lot of comics. In other words, selling out.
Right.
Selling out, and then when they didn't get nowhere with it, they couldn't make a comeback.
Yeah.
They couldn't come back. I started as a one-liner guy.
Really?
Yeah, I
can't even imagine
I'm
that.
a Rodney Dangerfield guy.
Really?
It's not going to be a bit. I'm not a writer. I'm not intelligent like you guys. It's not going to be nothing. And then I heard a dear friend of mine did a Showtime show. And before he came on the show, I had to go to the bathroom and take a shit. And I'm in the bathroom taking a shit, listening to him on Showtime doing one-liners.
Right.
And I go, that's why nobody hires me.
Right.
This is why I'm not this and this. I got to go up there and start telling stories.
And if you can come from truth.
That's it. They want the truth.
Because people, I don't know how people
They smell
do it. Yes.
They smell weakness. They smell a lie. You have to commit to it. It's like an R-rated joke when you're into comedy 3 years. Like when I was doing comedy 6 years, I came up with this joke, and I could not sell the joke, even though it made me laugh high and unhigh. I would giggle on stage when I said it. Nobody else would laugh. I brought the joke back 13 years later. It destroyed because I wasn't ready for that joke at that time. I wasn't presenting it right. It's a dish with, it's like what you're saying with your impersonations. Sometimes you would just go up there with a dish with a steak on it.
Right.
It's a great steak.
Right.
It's a great steak. I love it. What if you put little mashed potatoes on the side, 3 flowers, 4 orange slices, raspberry? It's a presentation.
Yes.
It's a presentation.
If they know who you are and where you're coming from, they're coming.
They're coming. They're coming.
I don't know what just fell, but it scared me.
No, it was a drumstick I put up there and it just fell down. I was trying to clean the place up for you.
This is cleaning up?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is as good as it gets.
Thank you.
There's no drugs on the table.
Right. I
now,
feel safe.
I had to wipe it down because I was scared that you went for a piss test next week and you come back positive with ketamine and heroin in your system just from touching it. I don't want that.
Looks like the wolf has been here.
No, yeah, we clean everything here. Everything's sanitized. We do everything. We try to put it together.
It was funny. I was listening to the Rappaport show too. It was funny because he was talking about taking a dump before he came in.
Yeah,
your bathroom's not connected. It's the perfect place to take. It's all by itself. Like that, he should have done that.
It smells like a dump in there, like somebody else took a dump in there.
You guys are taking shits on the street.
Oh, that was terrible. Now, at the University of Milwaukee, were you thinking about comedy then? What were you thinking? What'd you
broadcast journalism.
Okay, so you were 3/4.
Yeah, I wanted to be a sports center anchor.
Okay, you're a big sports guy.
I'm not. People think I am.
Now,
again, look at how
you grew up a Green Bay Packer fan.
Yeah, it's a state law basically. You can't not. Although my family's
you can't open up a club in Green Bay. The Funny Bone used to be there, and it died 1,000 fucking deaths.
Appleton has a small. Listen, the first time I went to Green Bay and as a comedian, an adult really, because I'd never gone up there, and Sundays, everybody, even the McDonald's workers, were wearing Brett Favre jerseys. I've never seen like you got to wear a McDonald's uniform, but not there. Right. I've never seen anything like it. But the whole city shuts down. It's not a city; it's a town. But the whole town, whatever you want to call it, the Green Bay area, I don't know if it's still like that. But this is probably mid '90s to 2000. Nothing. Not a Packer game was going on. Screw it.
Go to Denver on a Sunday. When I lived in Denver, those Sundays you could rob a bank.
Yeah.
You could stab somebody.
Have. That's part of it.
I'll never forget when I was in the mall.
Wait a second. I think you did have an issue there.
I had a couple of issues there.
You don't even go to Colorado anymore, right?
Yeah, I go to Denver.
Oh, you do?
I just can't go to Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle and parts of Oregon. Seattle and parts of Idaho, unknown. When I lived in Denver, I still remember when they played against the Cleveland Browns, the drive.
Right.
I was at the mall during the drive. And I'll never forget seeing everybody in the hallways watching TVs that Radio Shack had and stuff. And going, if I was going to rob this place, this is the time we'd do it. Nobody would care.
The funny thing is, I would say something like that. It's a joke. You say something like that, you're casing the place.
Oh, let me explain something to you. The best thing in my future that happened is that they tore that mall down. When I tell you I sank that mall financially, I'm not lying to you. I went in there with 3 credit cards in the summer of '85, and threw the cards away and would still go back in there. I remember walking in that mall one day, and they had a CD player, Radio Shack, without a box, like a the
display
sample,
unit? Yeah.
display unit. And the guys were all the way in the back talking. And I go, you know what? I could use a CD player in my house. I'll never forget unplugging it and just wrapping it and walking out of the fucking mall. Like still walking 30 yards to the door and then going to my car. I destroyed that mall.
Oh, God.
The first time, then I got a job at Foot Locker.
You got a job
At the mall after I ruined it with credit cards. And the cops came. They go, you fit the description. Somebody in the ice cream court said you used a credit card there. I'm like, you're going to have to prove it. There was no cameras back then. Right. So they kept coming back.
And so
to
you're
me.
wearing the referee
The
jersey?
Foot Locker, like an asshole that I was. I applied for the job in June. They called me in August.
Okay.
Okay, and then and then the cops came in. They're like, "We want to arrest you." They talked to me like 3 times, and they wanted me to cop to it, and I wouldn't cop to it.
So in 2 months, you destroyed the mall. That's
In
it.
2 months, I destroyed that fucking mall. And then I went back for more. And then I went back. I went to Aspen, then back to Boulder, and then I was taking classes at the University of Colorado, and they would buy anything up on them. It's called the U district. The U district is in Seattle. This was called, I forget what Boulder Hill or what, the Hill. The Hill is 3 blocks, gyms, Mexican restaurants.
Right.
Everything is catered to kids. Pizza place, movie theater, 18 and over bar, that type of shit. But they would buy anything because college kids got broke.
Right.
So you could bring anything. So I had the scam at Sears. The door was right by the music department. Was right by the door. I would park right there and just walk in. And every day I would take the Bruce Springsteen 4-package collection. It was like the hit of this. It was $99, like $89 for a Bruce Springsteen box. He's on the cover with a guitar in his hand. How do I remember? Because Bruce Springsteen put a lot of money in my pocket that year. There were displays of Bruce Springsteen, 5 at a time, and I would pick them up and walk out there. And I would go right to the Hill, get my $200, and then I would go eat like a fucking sandwich or something. It was destruction. But then I was out on bail on the kidnapping case. And I was running out of money. And I go, you know what? I'm going to go back up to the CD store. So I started robbing them every other day. This went on for about a week or two.
Not many people can just say that sentence. I
go-
started robbing them.
Oh, yeah. I
every
would go to the
other day.
CD store every other day. I didn't want to be a fucking pig. And go every day and rob 'em. Why would I
Regulate
do that?
yourself.
I had to go like every 2 or 3 days.
Monday, Wednesday,
If there was a
Friday.
student center, I was tormenting them because they would buy books secondhand, and I would just pick up a stack of books. I wouldn't even walk in the front door. I just bring them up, and I go, "My mother got me these, but I already got them. She just wasn't thinking." And they go, "Do you want cash or a check?" You know what? I don't need the cash, but I'll take it. And they would give me back the money for the books plus tax.
What's it like to not have a conscience? What's
It's tremendous.
That's the greatest life. Your life is incredible until you get caught. But then you have the stories.
What is it that you want me to do to change that? Like, that's why it pisses me off that people go after governors for putting blackface on, or the chief fucking judge because he covered some chick's mouth in 1982. You got nowhere to go. So if he would have came out and said, "Yeah, in 1982 I choked the girl at a party," he would have he wouldn't have had to deal with that.
I don't know if it works in politics the same way.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Because it works in life that way. If you don't say it, if I get it out first, you got nowhere to go.
That helps. That can help.
You
if
got nowhere to go. 8 Mile. When he goes, what am I gonna do? What are you gonna do when he goose on you about the girl? He goes, if you put it out there first, he's got nowhere to go.
Right. Yeah, because it diffuses the situation.
It diffuses
Trump
the
does that a
situation.
lot. You
Yeah.
watch Trump; he'll be like, "I did this," and he'll put a little spin on it to
spin
make
on
it
it.
his way. It happened. There was a lot. It was not my problem. And then people are like, "Yeah, he did it. So what? What doesn't?"
It's not who I am today, but thinking back at who that person was that would be out on bail for kidnapping and would go every other day to either the student center. Like one day I went to the student center and had a watch rack with watches, Timex, whatever the fuck. I picked up the whole thing and put it on my shoulder like a body in Vietnam, and I just walked out. If you're going to let me rob and you're not going to pay attention to me, I got to rob you in those days. I was that nuts in Boulder.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
But
then-
you're getting away with it, so why would you stop?
Getting away, I would control myself.
Yeah,
Then-
sounds
sound like it.
That's
then-
not controlling
then
yourself.
one
What do
day-
you think controlling yourself is?
Dog, I would rob 24/7 if you. I remember when double espresso machines came out in '95. I was a struggling comic.
I don't even hold on. Let me
95.
digest this. Because you're going into stories about stealing 24/7, and then I remember when double espressos came
Yeah,
out.
because I had control before I got arrested. And went to prison. I had no control. Like that's when I got caught. So I'm out on bail for the kidnapping. I get caught with like 85 fucking CDs, and they chase me like a little black guy in a golf cart and a little white skinny guy. Like come back, and I'm running, throwing CDs back at them and shit, trying to throw them off.
Like
the
you're a
CD.
superhero?
Oh my god! And they got me. The cops finally got me, and I gave them a fake name. They arrested me, and I processed. Now I had just been in there for a month waiting to get bail. Every cop knew Joey. I went in there as Jimmy, and they're fingerprinting me, and I'm like, "How you doing?" They're like, Joey, how you? And I'm looking at the fingerprint card. It's like Jimmy, whatever. And I'm like, these guys, if you're gonna be that stupid, and then I went back to court as that guy. I pled guilty, and I got community service, and I did the community service. Years later, I found out. Boulder found out you used a different name. But what are they gonna do? You did the community service. You paid the fine. Crazy shit. That you wouldn't even, now you can't get away
I was
with
going to say,
that.
now there's no way.
Cannot get away
because
with
that's
that.
all electronic and
Yeah,
stuff
now
like
you
that.
can't get away with that.
But that's, yeah, I mean, you make me want to go back in time and start robbing people.
And then in those days, remember when Frank Caliendo put his fingerprints down? NCIS was so slow.
Right.
3 weeks before your records came back. So you could sit in county for 2 weeks with a murder, knowing, working your bail, and get out before the NCIS come out back on you.
Yeah.
The NCIS wouldn't come back on you for fucking 3 fucking weeks. That's how slow it was then. So I could use fake names. I could do all this shit because by the time they figured out who the fuck I really was, I was gone. I was on a Greyhound bus to the next city.
So what did you do with the espresso machines?
Well, the espresso machines I had control. The espresso machines were $450.
You keep saying you have control. I mean, is this you telling us, or are you trying to convince yourself?
Me, I don't give a fuck. It was 25 years ago.
Yeah, well, right. No, yeah.
It was 25 years
So-
ago. I was 95.
I forgot that double espresso machines are how this story started.
It was $450 for an espresso, coffee, cappuccino machine. All these assholes on sale for $350. I'm walking into those stores, just picking up the thing. I wasn't even walking out of the store, Frank Caliendo. How sad is that? I would just go into customer service and go, "How you doing? My mother got me this for Christmas." What the fuck? And they go, "Okay."
It's always somebody giving you something
That's
as a
the only
gift.
way you could sell it.
That's how you do
What do
it.
you think? I was walking down the street.
I don't have a gift receipt, but
Then I got
you know,
to the point where I'd hang out in front of Kmart. This is when you're a fucking real piece of shit. I'd hang out in front of Kmart on windy days and wait for people's receipts to fly off. And one day I'm looking at this guy in a cart pushing 2x4s and 2x6s and 2x12s, but on top he's got a lawnmower. And he's pushing, it's windy out, and all of a sudden the receipt flew out. I go over, I pick it up, I look, the lawnmower is $450. So I walk into the fucking Kmart. They got no more lawnmowers. I go, fuck it. I went out to Longmont, Colorado, 30 miles away. Went to a Kmart in there. They had the thing. The best was, I went back and I gave the Mexican kid a 10. Bring this up to the counter for me. He brought it up to the counter, and I told the lady, "How you doing? My mother gave me this. It's the
you have a
wrong
great
one."
mom.
This time I had a receipt. This time they had nowhere to go. He just, no, I'm telling you, I bought the, why don't you go back to Boulder? I go, I didn't want to drive. I live here.
I left this here.
And they give me the money back.
I can't.
It's, and I was doing 3 or 4 of those espresso machines a day. Like on the way to Denver Comedy Works.
You needed the espresso
I would stop
to stay.
I would stop in Westminster. I'd stop in the Denver Mall. I would show up at the Comedy Works with $1,200 in my pocket. On the way there, the Comedy Works open mic started at 8. I'd leave my house at 6 and stop in Bloomfield, Westminster, and just stop at the malls. I need money.
You use all this stuff when you play these roles. Do you use all the stuff that you've done?
What's in my mind?
Right,
It
yeah.
never leaves my mind. I've never put it away. I did it. I got to own up to it.
Right, but you can use that when you play a character. You can use those memories to be
That character.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I do. When I have an audition, I look at it, I give the guy a fake name. Like if you call me and you go, "I want you to play Frank."
Right.
I make him Frank Luigi. I give a background on him. Born in the Bronx. His father fucking worked on shoes. His mother was a Sicilian immigrant. And I'll just write out his background.
Right.
He's a loan shark today, but he started out running errands for Enzo the baker. I just make up shit.
Right.
And that's that background to that character.
You have that story, and everything
story
makes
to
sense.
That character.
Yeah.
Now, how long did it take after college to try? Did you get a job broadcasting?
No, because I didn't want to work in like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, or something like that. I was terrible as an interviewer. I always wanted to be a guest on like the Tonight Show and stuff like that. I wanted to be the person being interviewed. I always loved those comedians that would go on there, old school, be like a Jonathan Winters, or even people promoting movies, Robin Williams or something like that. That's what I wanted to be, was just a guest on a late night show. But I graduated from college. I tried stand up one time. It was a night at a dance club, and they'd shut the dancing down for a comedy and music show to be played. And yeah, people want to dance and screw.
Snort coke and fuck.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And I went up and I just remember trying to do a Robin Williams impression. I'm like, I'm Robin Williams. Nothing. I go, no, I'm not. And I was the saddest. I was bearded Robin Williams in like Awakenings or something, with just like, oh, this isn't working at all. And I thought it was me. And it probably was partially me not ready to do that kind of event, because I was supposed to be the host of it. But as you know, comedy, you have to do comedy in a venue that people are expecting comedy. Right. And I later learned that and used these types of experiences to just say no to other gigs as they came along. At the beginning, you take a lot of things that you probably shouldn't, but you also learn from that in some ways, but you know things are going to suck. And then you get to a certain point and you go, I'm just not taking those sucky, gigs anymore. But I graduated from college, and I started to, I actually got hurt. I hurt my back, and believe it or not, it was from tying my shoe. I leaned down to tie my shoe, and my back went out, and then I couldn't stand up straight for like a month. So I started working on a bunch of impressions, and then I went up at a comedy club, the Comedy Cafe, which was run by JD.
What happened to him?
Maybe the mob got him.
No, I heard he had a stroke.
Oh, really? Oh,
that's the last I heard.
Because
he sold it. He had a stroke.
There was nothing like. He was the nicest guy in the world to me. Big Samoan guy, but thought he was Italian.
6'7".
Yeah,
400. Would take you to eat on Thursdays.
Oh, and when he pay you, a briefcase and a gun would go up there and go, "Hey, you ready for this?" I'm like, what? Ready for what?
How many times did you work for him?
Oh, tons. He gave me work. He was the first person to ever give me work. Gave me work all the time. He's like, he'd say stuff like, "How much time you got? How much time you got?" I'd be like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. He goes, "I'll tell you what. We'll put you up, steal a bunch of stuff, and go up there." I'm like, I'm not going to do that. He's like, "Well, figure something out. You're killing with the crowd," because I just go up and do impressions, and nobody was doing that at the time. He's like, "Can you come back next week?" Well, I'd hurt my back, got sick for a while, and was out. And I come back a year later. He's like, "Where you been?" I was like, "I was hurt." He's like, "I don't care. Get back up there." And he started working me again. I mean, this is literally the second and third time I've been up on stage, and he's just putting me to work, and I get to work with some cool people coming through.
What year was this?
This is probably 90. The first time was probably 95. Graduated from college 96, 95ish, and then back in 96, I think, somewhere.
You hurt your back that bad?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get out of bed.
Just from tying your shoelace?
Well, I had a knee injury when I was younger, and when I was 14, I destroyed we were playing. I was a running back in football. I'm the same size now that I was then, maybe 20 pounds lighter, but I was pretty fast. And for a suburban high school freshman team, they couldn't tackle me. So, but I was running out. We were scrimmaging the sophomores. I ran a sweep to the right, and I get hit by a guy high and a guy low, and my knee just buckled and went out. And it never really recovered. So I was also a catcher in baseball, and I would catch off kilter. I would catch with one leg fully bent, and my left leg, which was destroyed, wouldn't bend all the way, and it screwed up my back. So then back issues happened for the rest of my life. So this is 5-6 years later. I could be doing anything, and my back just went out, and that just happened really bad one time when I was a freshman and sophomore in college, somewhere in there. Must have been junior year. And I was just out for a while. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't physically get up out of bed because I couldn't walk. and that was at least 2 weeks, and then it took some more time. I probably milked it some after a little while. Like, then you get scared about going back because you missed a month, 2 weeks of college. What am I going to do? But I was doing all the work at the time. There wasn't even email or anything like that. I was just having to call people and get the work, and I think they liked that enough that I was taking the initiative to do that. That I got through and made it, work with the teachers, and I think I probably got A's in the classes. Broadcasting journalism classes aren't that hard. It's not like I'm doing physics or something. So then when I came back after college, because I just said, I'm going to get my degree right now. I got it just because that's what you do, not for any other reason other than that. And then I went back out and I started working right away. People started paying me to do stand-up. I got on the college circuit in a year because I'm 24 years old, 23 years old. And at that point, doing colleges, that was experimental. Now you do a college, they don't want you to say anything. Back then, you could get away with whatever. And I even say get away. I don't mean get away with. It was just a time to speak freely and say what you thought. And now it's the speech police at colleges. It's ridiculous.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. That's the point of the show.
As a young man, were you privy to impressions? Like, were you already getting in front of the family and going, hold on. Just how did you know you had this gift?
I think I always did some of it. As a high school student, I would do impressions of friends and stuff, and teachers. We had a teacher, Mr. Christensen, he was also the basketball coach. He's like, Mr. Callahan, do me a favor. Can you come up and show us on the map where the Atlantic Ocean is? And I'd go up there and be like an idiot. I'm like, is it the blue part? And he'd be like, go sit down. And he would kind of mess with me because I didn't know anything about geography. But there was this guy, Darren Barsh, who he always had the comb in his back pocket, and he'd feather his hair, and his nostrils would flare. So I'd do impressions of him and a couple other people, and watch Saturday Night Live and In Living Color, and do all the Damon Wayans characters, and that kind of thing, or the fire marshal. But let me show you something. So I'm doing all those things, stuff you wouldn't use in your stand-up act because it's somebody else's character. And then I started working on, nobody was doing impressions of people how they actually are. People were doing impressions of characters in movies. So I would do the Robin Williams, where you'd be the serious Robin Williams and you'd tell a story. That kind of thing, or Tony Danza, and I'd find things that were observational comedy with them. Tony Danza, the bit was, he would talk normally pretty much until somebody from the old neighborhood came around, right? So it was like on Who's the Boss? Jonathan, Samantha, Mona, and then Mrs. Rosini. Like, his acting chops were like just to go 100% to the old school, the old big character. And it was just, to me, that was the funny observation in it. And it was an offbeat impression. People were only doing Jack Nicholson at the time. Nobody was really
Everybody was doing Jack Nicholson.
Like now it's Christopher Walken like that. But
right,
Jack
Walken.
Nicholson was the one everybody was doing. And they were doing these big over-the-top Jack Nicholsons. And I would do just a silent, a quiet one. The more real guy. And people were like, well, that's a different version. And even people who hated impressions were like, well, you're actually kind of doing something a little bit different. So comics like me because I developed an act. Like, most comics would see an impressionist and go, this guy sucks. You look at YouTube now, and people do way better impressions than me. I see people doing these incredible impressions, but they don't create a character with it that much. And you go, after they do the line, you're kind of going, okay, now what? Where does this go? And even with the old school stuff I do, like John Madden, I got bored with doing the John Madden. I turned him into a character that's going and make these big noises, and it became just its own character as opposed to just the impression. And to me, that became more fun. And there were people who could do dead-on impressions better than me, but I would find the physicality and stuff like that to go with it. And what I'm trying to do now in my act and life and everything is doing that with characters. You just put a voice to something that happens in your life, and that's almost like an impression is just a character that everybody knows already. A character you have to set up more and give people the background because they don't know what the point of view is on the character. I had an Uncle Phil, that was, I think you and him would have been great friends. But he had this whole thing about like, hey Frank, you should spend time with Sinatra. I'm like, really? Can't tell you, but here's a story. Like you just told me you can't tell me a story. Like at one point he was the cheese king of Chicago. He's like, you can't, Frank, and he get mad about it. I didn't even understand it.
Yeah, they get
like,
pissed about the
but
cheese.
you Frankie, you can't get cheese in Chicago without going through me. I'm like, what? Who's trying to get the cheese? What are you worried about? Like, are there other cheese gurus out there? So it was like that kind of stuff, and turn those guys into characters and make that part of my act and be part of what I'm trying to become and tell the stories. But it's truth again. It comes back to that truth stuff, that who am I and what's my background? And I tell stories about that stuff, and people go crazy. You can look him up because he was gone for a while, but I don't even know if I should be saying this, but he quit witness protection. I've never seen anybody do that, but he all of a sudden, we had Italian Christmas, on the phone. Hey, it's Uncle Phil. Hey, Fringy, how you doing? Where are you? Can't say. And then one year he just showed up again. We're like, what? How's he here?
Yeah, Italians can't. They all get out.
Block the windows. Shut
all leave.
Everybody duck. We're gonna have a low Christmas.
When did you think about L.A.? When did you start thinking about L.A.? Did somebody reach out to you?
Yeah, a manager did, and he said, I don't want to use names. You probably know him, but he's like, you got to come out here, man. It'll be incredible. So I couldn't even get on Make Me Laugh. I couldn't get on the show Make Me Laugh. That's when I first came to L.A.
Make Me Laugh was with the kid that...
No. Make Me Laugh was all comedians would go on and just tell jokes to a person sitting there
right,
on Comedy Central.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah,
and the people
Who was the host? He's in Vegas now doing the revival or something. He's playing somebody because what happened to him? He taped 1,000 of those fucking episodes.
Yeah, I don't even remember who it was.
Make Me Laugh. Little Jewish kid.
Yeah, I don't.
He was a host. Nice kid, real nice. Would be at the Improv every night.
But the people who did really great weren't jokes, because some people go on and tell jokes, and some people would go on and just say goofy things and do goofy weird
you weren't
stuff.
If you want them to stand up,
yeah,
you were out of your mind.
The whole part of a joke is the people kind of have to know when the joke is coming, so they know when to laugh.
Mark Cohen.
Bobby Van?
No.
That's what
Mark Cohen sounds right.
Oh,
Mark
that's
Cohen.
old. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Mark Cohen.
So, so the people what's his name? I find him incredibly hilarious. Todd
Glass.
Yeah, Todd Glass.
Todd Glass would do well.
Todd Glass was a guy who would just kill on there.
Look at me! He would yell at them. I remember that.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was exactly, and that was the
yes.
stuff that really made you like, because you don't know what's coming. A point of a joke is you might not know what the joke is, but you know when it's coming. It's an assumption that's set up, and then you zig when you think you're going to zag, and that's where the funny part comes from. You get caught off guard, and people put two and two together in their heads, and they go, I got it. So that I couldn't even get on that show, and everybody was on that show. Make Me Laugh.
I didn't get on it either. They hated me.
Almost everybody was on that
Everybody
show.
was on
Everybody
that fucking
minus
show.
two. X minus two was on that show.
Now, what was your first show that you got on?
I think they got me. He got me on Craig Kilborn.
Okay,
I think I did Craig Kilborn.
What improv show did you go on?
I never did an improv show.
Well, what show? Before Mad TV, you were on something.
Hype on the WB.
Hype. Okay.
Hype was, I got
A
that.
sketch show. Improv.
Right.
I'm sorry,
I got that, and that was in the Chicken deal. Chicken, who went to Montreal, he got a huge one of the, like you talked about earlier in the episode, the 500. He was the last of the giant deals because they kind of figured out that they were getting played by the agents and managers in Montreal. For the people who don't know, the Montreal Comedy Festival before the internet was where people got discovered, a lot of comedians. So you go on and you do these new faces. And I remember going on, like I was doing a gala set, which was one of those bigger shows, and Chelsea Handler was going to do the new faces. And I was basically just mocking her the whole time because she was so into herself. I'm like, where's this girl? Where's this woman ever going to end up? And now she's huge, right? But it was one of those kinds of things like going, wow, she's really determined to sell herself and be important. I'm like, I'm the total opposite. I'm kind of just a joke, just who got lucky and got here. But those new faces, he got a $500 deal by humping a stool.
Right, $500,000.
He went $500,000, and Mitch Hedberg the year before had gotten a huge deal too. Right. And so there was this whole thing of people getting these $500,000 deals.
When Mitch Hedberg got the deal, when they came, this is how different the town was. When they came back, they closed the Improv on Monday and Tuesday night. Monday was a showcase for writers, and Tuesday was a showcase for showrunners. That's how different the industry was. They don't even do showcases in this town no more.
Oh, they don't. I don't even know.
The CAA showcase, APA used to do a big showcase.
But you need it anymore? You can just see everybody.
Yeah, nobody's gonna come. Nobody's gonna come.
You can just
That's how fucking different.
The internet just changed all that. So the chicken deal. What happened was he had a great presence, but he was just humping a stool, and they made it so nobody could get into there. That was brilliantly done by agents and managers.
Right, it was all
where
done.
Nobody could get
everybody.
in, and all the networks were bidding on this guy that nobody knew and didn't even know what he did because there was no internet, so you couldn't research what he was doing. People were just like, somebody wants him, we got to have him. And then they had a deal. Warner Brothers gave him a deal and didn't know what show to put him in, so they merged him with my deal and my show, and it became the show called Hype. And it wasn't right for him at all, but he got on Triple X. He was in that, and he had some real heat. But we had a show that was a weird thing. Our showrunners were going for massages during the day when they should have been show running. It was just kind of a mess. There were some very talented people. It wanted to be a pop culture cheesy show because it was WB, and it should have been a gritty, more real, which was what was going to... They didn't see the future. Like the Chappelle and everybody going in and having filmed pieces that weren't jokey jokes. They were more situational stuff. And we're doing these big jokey line stuff to the camera. It was like Hee Haw or something like that. For people remember that, you just tell a joke. And as you know, like you were talking about earlier with your act, one-liners, you might have a great one-liner, but people are going to... They might not even remember the one-liner. Your personality, they'll go, well, he's the guy who sells the espresso machines without ever buying them. It's like people remember that stuff, and they remember the situation and the person.
What was the girl on Hype?
There were two. There's Shema Tosh, who's...
And there was another girl.
Well, there were three. There was Shema Tosh, Kristen Nelson, and Nadia Ginsburg. And I think that's probably...
And how long did Hype last?
It was like 12 episodes.
And then I remember at that time...
Because they started out, it's Hype Night on the WB. And 3 weeks later, the WB Sunday. Like they'd gotten rid of Hype Night and just went to the WB Sunday. Because
that was on... I remember... I used to host at the store, and one Sunday night, Louis C.K. came in. Didn't know who he was.
Right.
And I said, you want to go up? And he goes, yeah. I put him up, and as he walked out, he goes, hey, I got a show for you. You in town this week. And at that time, they had the Cedric the Entertainer variety show.
I remember that, yeah.
Sketch.
I think they were on... Oh, maybe they were doing that when I was at Mad TV. I was on the same lot as them, and he was the head writer.
WB or something like that. Yeah. And then, when did you get on? So how far after Hype did you get on Mad TV?
Right away afterward, because that show got canceled. And then when I first went to LA too, another thing was I went in and met with the president of NBC at the time, and he goes, do you want me to put you on Saturday Night Live? And I'm like, it would be an option. And then we got out of the room, and the manager goes, you said it would be an option. Why did you say that? And I'm like, because you told me never to show my cards. And I was like, he's like, yeah, but I didn't think you'd do something like that. Everybody says yes. I'm like, well, you just have to be like you in control.
Did you audition for Saturday Night Live at all?
I never did. I did because it was the president of NBC, and I'd heard stories about like Jim Brewer and stuff like that, where the network tried to put you on there, and you had a terrible time because they want to find you. And they had Daryl Hammond. And what was I going to do? Sit behind Daryl Hammond for years and be the second guy? So when the Mad TV thing came along, I just took that. When I was doing auditions in LA when I first came out here, when I couldn't get on Make Me Laugh, they started having me do auditions for some sketch shows. Mad TV wanted me. I'd go in there. I did a thing called the 5 Minutes of Fury, and I don't know how long it was, and I don't know why we called it that, but it was just impression after impression after impression, and one after another. Nobody's doing impressions at the time. I'd leave a room and people they just want to give me development deals. That's how I got the WB deal that they merged with Chicken. It's the Michael Roof. I would do this stuff, and I'd go in for a commercial audition or something like that, and I just do that, and they would want a call back, and I would suck at the commercial, and they just want to hear what you do. So I went in, did that. Where were we going with that? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Going to Mad TV.
Oh, Mad TV. So I went back after Hype was canceled. They just put me on Mad TV. I never auditioned.
What season was that? Like 6.
Oh no, it was down a ways. I mean, it was probably 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it started.
I didn't even know because I didn't.
96, 97.
Yeah, because Artie Lang was there for a couple years.
Right.
He was the fat guy.
Brian
Then Will
Callen.
Sasso. Yeah, Callen, who's Callen's
The
one of
kid
those
who
guys.
got nervous breakdown. I did Spider-Man with him. Nice black
Started in
kid.
95.
Nice young black. I remember the first host was Roseanne Barr of Mad TV.
Oh right.
And Doug Stanhope was supposed to do stand-up on it.
Oh really? I don't.
The original pilot or something like that. 'Cause
I think that was something different.
That
Actually,
was something different,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they had that Saturday night special.
That's what it was.
Heath Heitch.
Heath Heitch.
Heath Heitch did things. So that
Where is Heath? Anybody know where he is?
I don't know, but I don't listen. I came up in the
Yeah,
colleges. I never was around everybody. Everybody's doing sets with each other at like the Improv and stuff like that, or at the Laugh Factory. I never did any of that stuff. I never did the. That's part of my problem in the podcast world. You know, everybody knows each other and they go on each other's shows. That's why I really appreciate you having me on too. Is like everybody know. I don't know anybody. I don't. It's not because I was a jerk or anything. No, maybe I could have been. But it was more that I just didn't know anybody because I was always isolated and kind of shy to try and get myself onto stuff. And so I backtrack. That Saturday Night Special show was on. They found out that Mad TV was doing better than that Saturday Night Special thing. Mad TV went on and was on for 13, 14 years, whatever it was. And they were on a crazy contract that, like, they didn't have to pay you real money because it was late night Fox and there was nothing else in that world. So that like the money you'd make on that show, which sounds like a lot to the regular person, who's not in entertainment, but that's like $5,000 an episode you're making there, and you might only get in 7 episodes the first year. So, a sitcom you're
Jesse
making.
Smollett would have gone crazy. That motherfucker would have stabbed himself. He would have done a real fucking. He would have got real brothers to beat him up, not some Africans.
I don't know if he could have.
Immigration
I don't know if he'd
problems
had
and
enough money for it.
shit. Yeah, you're right.
He might have.
Yeah, you're for 2,000. You can find anybody.
Yeah. So.
In Hollywood, a nickel in those days. Go buy.
But you couldn't even
go buy Yum Yum Donuts on Santa Monica.
But people
Get yourself
think you're
two big black trannies to beat you up over there. Remember that used to be Tranny Road down there, Santa Monica and fucking.
You make that turn right into.
Right there.
Then that was the set right there, or that was where that lot was.
Wilcox. Was it Wilcox?
It was. I can't even remember the name. But the funny thing is, they do Disney shows there because it was really Hollywood Center Studios.
Hollywood Center.
And it's like Disney, like The Sweet Life with Zach and Cody would record there, Cedric the Entertainer, and Mad TV. And it used to be back in the day, it was Lucille
Zach and
Ball.
Cody, that's right.
Were you ever on that show? You look like you could have been a great.
I went in for a couple of auditions. Let me tell you something. I went to that lot because the lot is the one you're supposed to turn left into if you're coming from Sunset. Mm-hmm. And there's sometimes a line, and sometimes they'll tell you, you don't belong in the lot. Make a U-turn and go to the corner.
Right.
And one day I was fucking drinking all night, snorting, doing God knows what type of pills.
I think God knows.
And I went to bed at like 5, and I pulled up into that lot to do somebody's show. It wasn't yours, it was somebody else's show.
Could have been mine. You'd have been good anyway.
And I pulled in. The guy goes, "You have to park all the way down there." And I go, "Dog, there's a parking spot down there." I was 400 pounds. I go, "I'm not walking down there." So I pulled into the spot. When I came out, he ran up to me, and he's like, "I just fucking told you what to do." And I go, "What'd you say?" And I got him with like an elbow. I was coked up the night before. I got him with a shoulder to the face. He went backwards, and I go, "Don't you ever fucking tell me where to park, you fuck." And as I walked, he was yelling at me. When I got back to the set, they're like, "What happened out there?" And I had just gotten fired from the Man Show.
Wait, nobody could get fired from the Man Show.
Oh yeah, I did. With Rogan and Stanhope.
Oh, okay, Rogan.
Pilot episode.
Okay. Yeah.
The pilot episode. I caught the director lying.
God, I forgot Rogan did that.
I caught the director lying, and I told him out in the hallway, I go, "I heard what you did, motherfucker, and I'm going to tell Joe and Stanhope." He goes, "You're fired." I go, "Fuck you." And then they made the security guard escort me off, but I'd smoked a joint with the security guard 2 hours earlier. He's like, "That's my dog. I ain't throwing him out of here." Fuck him. It was tremendous. You can't write this shit, frankly.
No, you can't. I can't even believe you lived it. But
I shouldered the guy in like the fucking throat. He went down.
Like the John Jones move? Like you
Yeah. And he was like, "What the fuck? Are you crazy?" I go, "Don't tell me where to park. I asked you fucking nicely." If you're saving that for one of your friends, just fucking
I
tell me.
love that in your mind. I asked you fucking nicely.
I asked you fucking nicely.
Means I can do what I want.
I got bullshit. I just had knee surgery. My back is out. My grandmother died. Is it really necessary to walk all the way over fucking there when I could park right there? And he gave me like a little bit of an attitude. So I go, all right, it's me against him. There's nobody else on this lot. There ain't no cameras.
No cameras at that
I'm
time.
pulling in there, and I pulled in, and I had my bag. You know, you have to bring wardrobe.
Yeah.
Like I had to bring my own wardrobe. I'm like, I'm not walking from all the way over there. It's not happening.
How much has your life changed because of the camera? Like, think about with cameras being everything.
Very much.
I wonder how much that truly affected you. Let me ask you this, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, but it's like you've changed, and you said to having a kid's changed you and stuff like that, but you had to change. There's an element to your life that couldn't exist anymore, right? A pretty big element that might have driven you to be, hey, I could be this different part of me.
I just shouldered a guy in December in New York on the ferry to Jersey.
Just depends
with
on
my
where
daughter and my wife in front of me because I had my daughter by the hand, Frank Caliendo. I was online like a gentleman. My wife was standing behind me, and we were all talking, and all of a sudden a guy cut and bounced me. And I looked at him, and as he came this way, my daughter was right here in my right hand. You're not going to bang into my daughter.
Yeah.
So I hit him with the shoulder. He fucking went back. And I go, is there a fucking problem? And he stared me down a little bit. And he goes, no, there's no problem. And I waited, and I didn't take my eyes off him. Didn't take my eyes off him. And he kept staring at me. And I go, you sure there's no fucking problem? Because we'll take care of this right now. And he goes, no, there's not. We both went on the ferry. And I thought he was going to jap me on the way off the ferry in Jersey. I watched him get off, and I had my phone ready. I was going to smash it right in his fucking head. But he
There's something, that family thing. I remember
in front of my family, you're not going to do that. I will not. I will fucking kill you. You're going to die right here on the spot.
You gave me a flashback to something with my grandpa.
Yeah, no.
I remember being in a Chuck E. Cheese when I was maybe 8 years old or something. This is in Chicago. In a Chuck E. Cheese, I'm playing Defender or something, some old video game, and I step aside. Some other bigger kid steps and starts playing my game, and I'm like, what just happened? My grandpa's there, and he's like, what happened, Frankie? And I'm like, this guy started playing my game. My grandpa's a little Italian guy, but all of a sudden he's Joe Pesci, right? And I don't do a good Joe Pesci impression, but he picked the guy up and just said, don't ever do that to my grandson.
Like family.
I was
family.
I was scared to death, but also like I got the right guy.
Yeah,
I got the right family. But he picked him up and like, that's my grandson. I was like, holy cow, what blood do I have?
It was a different world, Frank. It was, we live in a world now that, especially in LA, you ever been on a set and the director comes on with a hat with a feather, rolled up shirt so you can show your eagle tattoo, some fucking American eagle like he's cool and everybody's telling him the tattoo is cool, and they'll talk to you a certain way.
Right.
That wasn't going to fly with me.
Yeah.
And I would call them out. I'd say, that's not going to happen. I don't play that fucking Gentile shit. Go, well, that works for kids in acting class. Don't talk to me that way.
Yeah,
we're men. Talk to me like a man.
I always just find that I don't believe anything out here.
No. This is remember, it's the world, then it's Los Angeles.
Right.
Harvey Weinstein wouldn't happen. Neverland. Jesse Smollett. These fucking mothers that paid $500,000 to get their kids in school. Where does that happen? Here in La La Land, where that shit wouldn't fly anywhere else.
But I just remember being lied to so much,
please,
and being able to call
face.
from the beginning. I remember people telling me, "Oh, this is going to be the biggest thing for you. You're going to blow up." They tell you that constantly, and you're going, "Wait a second! I didn't even do anything. That wasn't good. You asked me to do it again."
Yeah, and they get you caught. It's called getting caught up.
Yeah,
and they blow so much smoke up your ass, and then one day, what happens? You end up like chicken.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
I mean, imagine...
End up like chicken.
Imagine being super famous. Imagine being LeBron James. When do you think the last time somebody told him no was? There's not...
middle school.
Maybe.
He was big in high school.
Yeah. I mean, nobody told... Just because they knew he was going to be uber famous, and then he gets out here, and how easy is it for him to make a television show? And I watch LeBron James shows. You ever watch some of these shows?
No.
But this is what's funny about, and this I'm sure happens with all the biggest stars. This is a LeBron James show. Ready? Oh, I agree with you, LeBron. no. I agree with you more, LeBron. Like 5 guys just agreeing with them. Like there's no way he can get real answers. There's not, like, people just start. I had it happen to me for a while too. As you start to go up and people just start to. That's great. You're like, I took a dump. That just sucked. Why are you telling me that's great?
I feel bad for a lot of comedic actors, especially on shitty TV shows. They have those PAs, and that's what they get paid to do. It's
Right.
fluff.
Right.
Or fluff on a set. They suck your dick and get your dick hard and keep you hard. That's what they do. That was great. They blow smoke up your ass, and then you end up. What's the kid who did that show in Idaho? That movie that he wore the shirt. He's my friend. What was that fucking morons? What was that movie?
I don't know.
Came out, was popular 15 years ago. Raising Idaho. Come on, every fucking body liked it. And the kid came down here, and he did a movie with Will Ferrell on roller
I know what you're
skates.
talking about.
And
Oh,
then that guy had a zero talent as comedy, zero. But he did a movie. And they all sucked his dick. And then he did that Will Ferrell movie, which Will carried him. And then they gave him his own show on Comedy Central. And you heard what happened there.
No, I don't know what that.
Like, even when Comedy Central tells you you're bad, you're bad.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite.
yeah.
They blow smoke up your ass. And then one day you're left in your beautiful
John Heater.
$1 million home. And nobody's hiring you.
Right.
Because that show of 7 years worked for you.
Right.
But in the real realm of things, you're not really that funny of a guy. I watch a lot of these shows, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking
Well,
about.
see, that's why I always believed in stand-up. Is if you base your money, your career in stand-up, you always have something to go back.
Always.
on, and
I love
you can
it.
make
This is
the
why,
money.
yeah.
Like you can have ups and downs on TV, a television show. There'll be times where people think you're important and not important, but as long as you can sell some tickets to a specific audience, you're fine. And you do the same. You're probably doing more than me right now, but you at a certain point you learn that how to work that system, because a lot of times you go into the comedy clubs or the theaters or whatever you're doing and you just expect you accept an amount of money they're going to pay you. Like they'll come in and say, okay, we'll pay you $1,000 for the week, and you're like, oh, that's awesome, I'm doing comedy, make a living. Then you realize they're selling tickets and they're making a lot of money doing this. I got to be paid more. And when you're with the agents, but then the agents and the managers, they're all tied in a network to a certain level where there's some slack and stuff like that, where they let things go. And you're like, I can make more in this. And like, we can ask. Like, no, you're going to tell them because I'm a draw right now. You're like, there's nothing more powerful than the word no in Hollywood.
Always said that.
You say no, all of a sudden people are like, what? What? And then they want you 10 times as much. You say no to something, and people, they don't even understand. That's half of my meetings when I first came to LA. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. They're like, they don't even know how to respond. Then all of a sudden they're like, we got to get this guy. Because everybody's so
Such a
desperate.
yes, yeah.
Everybody's so desperate to do something that they feel like you have this confidence of like, how I would go in with network executives and just make fun of them. Because everybody was so nervous with the network executive, I'd take the chance. I'm like, hey, what they 50-50, you know, it's probably a better chance they're not going to like me in the first place anyways because they see so many people. Let me just try and be myself and be a jackass. I'm a smart aleck, sarcastic, a little bit of a jerk. Let me be it. And it's not like a jerk to be a jerk, but just to be funny and get the laugh out of it, and I'll take the chance. But you go in there and you say, "Oh, Mr. Smiles, I have been working on this." They see that all the time. They see you nervous. They feed on that and they go, this isn't the right person. You go in there and like, what made you choose that tie? And they're like, huh? I'm like, look at your tie. You're a network executive. You can't wear the tie. Like, you really don't like the tie? Why not? I'm like, you shouldn't. And they start going on back and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you could probably do that I could see you going into a room.
I go into a room and
take it over. Yeah.
I go into a room and let them know I win the church. It's like going to church. It's a new air.
Right.
I go in there and we sit down. What happened to the good waters? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And they don't know
This is asshole
because they don't
water.
have
Where's the
anybody.
fucking Fiji?
And they're like, he can control the room.
Boom! You just sold the show.
Yeah.
You just sold the show.
Did you hear? That's how. What's his name? For Taxi, how Louis De Palma, who played Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito went in there and he was the Louis De Palma character. He was just a jackass, like, what is this shit? You know? And they're like, this is the guy. Because you take a chance. You go in there and be safe. If you're really good looking, there's a chance maybe but there's a lot of good looking people. You go in there and you do something that's interesting or different than everybody else. Now all of a sudden they're like, who? I went to a commercial audition, and I wasn't right for the commercial. It was all some computer or something. And I did that 5 Minutes of Fury thing I talked about. It was so stupid. I like look back and think how embarrassing it was to do that thing. But they're like, I go and I had to sing or something like that and improv the commercial, which is a whole nother thing I could get into. But I go in and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I got to go. I leave and I get a call back for the commercial. And I'm like, wait. The agents are like, they loved you. I'm like, I didn't do the commercial audition. I said I don't feel it. I'll suck at this, and I left. They're like, they want to see you tomorrow. I'm like, I'm not going in because I'm not right for it. They're just saying that because they feel like they want to be in power, and they want to tell me, no, we don't want you. That's what they wanted. They want to tell you, no, we don't want you. They don't want you to walk away on your own power. You know, when somebody does it, like it's a breakup. Like it was a relationship with a breakup really quick where they're like, wait a second, what, you can't, I'm dumping you. You're not dumping me. But I remember that was another thing I've learned on some of these early commercial auditions. They go in and you improvise and then you're the commercial without you. Like they get people to come in and just play around with the product a little bit. And you do that and all of a sudden you think, wait a second, that's my using it as a cigar bit. That has nothing to do. Where did that come from? And you go, I don't want to write these that's part of my problem in LA too, because there's way better improvisers than me, and they all know it's going to happen, but they eventually get some of the stuff. But again, that's playing off a lot of the desperateness in that world. I couldn't auditions to me, and maybe you just have a better self-worth than I do, or something, but you go in and you're sitting on a bench and you're sitting next to in a hallway, and you're just like, wow, I'm really groveling to try and get this along with 3 other people who were on sitcoms 15 years ago. First of all, look how they see me. I look like Sloth from the Goonies. You know, these other 3 guys that are here, I look like that to them. It's like when I remember Harlan Williams, Dane Cook, and like 2 other guys were always at the same auditions. When I was pretty hot, when I first came to LA, I would get movie scripts sent to me that Jack Black and 2 other fat guys turned down. It was like, maybe Caliendo will look at this, and they didn't want me anyways, but they're just going down the script and they found out I didn't have the pull to have a movie made in the first place. But it was like, wow, that's who they think I am. I mean, when you ever go to an audition, you look around and go, I look exactly like 3 of these other guys. What am I going to do that's going to be different? And if I don't have something, I guess I'm just like these 3 other guys. And then they hire the guy who's tall and better looking. I mean, I went in for Daredevil. I remember going in for the original Daredevil that was Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck and the girl, yeah.
And yeah,
ended up being his wife.
Right. And what was he's in? He directs now, and he was in Rudy for a small bit. And he was in Elf. He's Happy in the in Iron Man. You'll know exactly who. Swingers.
Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau. And Jon Favreau got the part. I was never going to get the part. Jon Favreau's gotten the part. And like you go in for these auditions and you're just like, but every once in a while somebody gets one of the agents. You ever have an agent do this? Oh, they can't wait to see you. They really.
Oh, when you go down there.
And they don't even know who you are.
Fuck you are.
It's the worst. It's the worst thing in the world.
I always loved auditioning, Frank. I wasn't
Why?
making it because I wasn't making it as a comic. The only person who liked me was Mitzi Shaw.
Okay.
And Montreal wouldn't take me. They didn't like what I did with my hand. It was just a nightmare. So I grew up. I'm an immigrant. I grew up on fucking movies. Charles Bronson, Clinton, the Lord, fucking Dirty Harry. I grew up on that shit, Steve McQueen. So movies were always very intriguing to me. So when I came to town, I wasn't ready, but I signed with a Power Television manager. If there was a project, he'd get you in it. He grew up in Hollywood. He grew up in Beverly Hills. He knew everybody. So I went in for Men in Black. I'd go in for all that shit. That was one of the many. And I never booked anything. And then I figured out I know what I'm good at. Like I would start getting my mind prepared. But the main audition I never liked, that I still turn down today, is the we don't know what they're looking for audition.
Right.
Then go fuck your mother. Unless I could walk to it, that we don't know what we're looking for audition. Unless we got that audition, I could walk to it. I'll go if I could walk to it. But if I got to drive to Santa Monica, that we don't know what we're looking for audition,
right.
Come in and jazz us, come in with 3 original characters,
right.
and yourself. No, you're looking for a writer, bitch.
All right. Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. How many auditions did I go in and improvise? And the next day I went to shoot and my line was in there.
That's what I'm talking about with the commercial. Yeah,
My
absolutely.
lines were in there. And I go, what the fuck is this? And you don't say nothing because you're dumb. You don't want to rock the boat. Hey, give me a writing credit. Something.
Yeah.
An associate to the associate to the associate to the associate.
Everybody has those
producer.
stories.
But I enjoyed auditioning because after a while I would go in there. I started getting popular with auditions, and I'm not scared to say this, because of The Sopranos. And I look like one of the guys.
Right.
So everything Italian, I went in for.
Yeah.
And that taught me how to audition, how to really, by 2002, I was a monster. I knew exactly what I was doing in the room. I went into How I Did Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother.
How I Met Your Mother's, and I walked and I had no underwear on, just jeans. But there was a little rip in my jeans, and it caught the table, and my cock came out, the whole thing. It was 3 women in the producer's session. And I looked them all at the face, and they looked at me, and I go, "Did you see the Cuban egg roll?" And they, when you say that line, you got 2 things: either get out of our office, or you just killed us. I had to sit.
I didn't think you could beat the espresso story, but you did.
I had a pant with a flap over my dick and my hand, like I was giving signals for a fastball to the fucking. And I walked out. I'm down the block at Fox, and my agent calls me. Goes, "They want you to come back and read." I was in there for 25 minutes just laughing, talking about the Cuban egg roll, uncircumcised, the whole fucking thing. And I got the role. And if you watch How I Met Your Mother, you go, you didn't belong in there. They weren't looking for me. I just got them with that.
Right.
And I didn't mean to get them,
Oh, you didn't plan the Cuban egg?
No,
it
it
happened.
just ripped, Many auditions I went into.
Do you go to a lot of auditions with no underwear? Is that a thing?
No, then one time I went in. I had to go to an audition.
Look at the smile.
I had to go to an audition about a neighbor for an ABC pilot. This was like an American Family. This had to be 2002. And I walk in the room, and every fucking big Italian actor is in there. And it was a scene where a guy had a thong, the typical Italian, man, moves into like upgrades. This was his living condition. And now he's in his yard, watering the yard, looking at the neighbors, and he's grilling hot dogs with, grill on a little Puerto Rican grill. The hibachi one you get, the little one. And he's like living in Beverly Hills in his mind. And one of the neighbors comes by and he goes, "Look at me. I'm living great." So I'm reading this. I'm looking at all these Hollywood names in there, these Italian guys, and I go, I got to figure something out. So I remembered I put on like men's bikinis on purpose. And I go, I'm going to ask them. Because that's what they said, the casting director said, if you go into an audition, always ask them before you take a piece of clothing off. So I'm going to go
Pretty
in there
good
and go,
advice.
Good advice for life.
So God was in
Always
my corner. God was in my corner. I had sweats on over it. I was 400 pounds with a fucking T-shirt on. When I walk in, they're like, "Thank you for coming. Can you give us a minute?" And they turned around to start looking at headshots. And I go, "This is my chance." I took my shirt off. I took my fucking sweatpants on. And all 3 of them turned around and they're like, and I took the hose and I go, "Look at me, living like a doctor." Ah! And that was it. Like, they told me in the room, "Listen, tell those people outside just to leave. You booked it." Because I knew how to get.
You took the chance.
You have to take a chance.
The chance. It's just you're
People go to audition to book a job. I go to be remembered. I go to rattle the pictures up. Even though you're looking at Frank Caliendo, and even though you're looking at Tony Soprano, and even though you're looking at Brad Pitt, fucking Diaz came in here and fucked up our room.
Yeah.
We got to do something with him.
Yeah, you and I learned the same lesson and you applied it. That's the big difference. Is you go in there.
Some people like it, Frank.
Oh yeah, you got to be willing to take the rejection on
You know
that.
how many
and understand
impersonations I could do? Zero.
No, it's fine, but it's
0.
It's not even that. It's you take those chances in life, and they can really pay off. It's an amazing. You don't realize how great that is because they'll remember, like you said. You don't have to book the job, but you have to be remembered because then they'll go. And sometimes the memory is not clear of what you did. Like you'll have done something that did get something, but that guy, he did something. Just bring him back.
When you and I got here, you ever see that Goodfellas? Mm-hmm. The guy that walks in, I'm sorry to say this on the podcast, he walks into the diner and goes, 2 niggas just stole my car.
Oh, jeez.
You know how he got that? You've never seen that guy again in anything. He's a comic from L.A., sweetheart of a guy.
Right.
When I first got out here, I saw him the first night, and I'm like, "You're the guy from Goodfellas." Like, my head almost blew up. Like he was at the Improv doing a spot. And we became friends, and I saw him in audition. I said to him one day, how'd you get Goodfellas? He goes, I was in prison. And I read the book just like I did. I read Goodfellas in prison.
And lived part of it.
And he goes, when I came out, I wrote Scorsese letters. And when he cast Goodfellas, he called me in Brooklyn. This idiot walked in, took a gun out and put it on the desk, and he sat down. He goes, I'm here. And Scorsese said, okay, security, come get this guy to my building. They escorted him out.
Right.
A month later, he goes, I got a line for you. I bet that guy can't go into black neighborhoods today or go into Kentucky Fried Chicken or anything like that. He can't go in.
You guys edit this thing, right?
No.
No, because I disagree with everything that's just happened.
No. Think about it.
I get it.
Where can he walk into where there's 10 black people and they're going to go, aren't you the motherfucker from Goodfellas? He's going to go, no. No, that wasn't me.
This was at the end of the podcast, and I walked out. That's all I'm saying.
No. But think about that. I mean, he was remembered, and I can just see Scorsese going, "What idiot will do this line in the movie?" Like I can just see Scorsese going, "I gotta find a guy to say, two moolies just stole my truck on national TV." He goes, "Who can I get?" The guy with the gun, that retard. That's.
Oh my God.
Frank Cully and the Hollow.
No, don't say my name anywhere near this
Frank
stuff.
Cully and the Hollow, you're on Mad TV.
Joey Diaz, this is just a guy doing a Frank Cully impression. I was on Mad TV for 5 years.
How'd you feel about it?
I didn't love it. I never got all they wanted me to ever do was John Madden stuff. And at the beginning, that's probably where I should have been, but I started working. I remember doing a sketch where I'd worked on it really, really hard to play an original character. Rich Tallarico sat down with me, wrote this great sketch. I was a little piece of it, but he really wrote most of it. It was an athletic trainer, a physical trainer, who to get to the training facility had to go upstairs and was winded. Like he should not have been. Like he drops the towel, he picks it up with his foot. Like, oh God, give me a second. And I pick it up. Like the person's like, aren't you going to bend down and get that? I'm like, oh no, it's just. I just did those stairs. This is tough. It nailed the table read, and everybody's like, Frank, that was all the cast members like, that was awesome, Frank. Never seen you do anything like that at all. Really cool. Can't wait to see that sketch made. Everybody, pumping it up, and they never made the sketch. They tabled it and had me do another John Madden sketch, and that's when I knew they were never going to give me an opportunity to do anything outside of that. Take a chance on something outside of the impressions. And I was like, I'm done here. I don't care anymore. I'll ride this out. And at the same time, I got the NFL on Fox job with Bradshaw and Howie Long and those guys. And being around Hall of Fame NFL guys, that's what brought me up. That's what made me. That's what got me into the corporate comedy world, which is where all the money is and stuff like that. So I didn't even care. Mad TV let me do that. One year, I even got out of like 10 episodes of Mad TV. Because I said it was too much of a workload, but it was really just I didn't like what I was doing at Mad TV. I was doing more stuff at the NFL on Fox, and it was a football show. So I didn't have a great time there, but again, I didn't push myself and fight for myself. I watched the guys like Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele who were there later when I was just ending and trying to get out of there, really. And Will Sasso before me, and if I had to learn those lessons, they were the ones fighting for themselves and in on the writing of their own sketches. Even if those guys wrote their own sketches, Key and Peele did, and that's why I think their stuff went over so well. They didn't even break until they did Key and Peele, where they 100% were in control of editing and stuff like that. But I remember there was a point where Jordan Peele, they're like the powers that be at Mad TV is like, this guy doesn't work for this show. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's a genius. And I wasn't the only one that saw it, not trying to say that. But I'm like watching, and Keegan was another one. I was like, this guy should be on Saturday Night Live. Every sketch he does would be, played everywhere the next day. It was one of those things where you could just see magic. When I first went to Mad TV, I did a John Madden thing, go figure, and it was talking about war and stuff like that. They started playing it on different news shows, and like Mad TV was like, hey, we're getting publicity. But these guys had like totally original, created stuff that you're going, if they were on Saturday Night Live, and Jordan's stuff was more subdued, but just really brilliantly written, and Keegan's stuff was big, over the top characters that you would just see breaking out as Saturday Night Live, and there'd be a toy made and in shirts the next day. And you get these guys, they drove their own stuff and kind of told the directors and the producers, this is how we're doing it. And they got the stuff they wanted made the way they wanted to. And that's how it really works. If you can do that and have the confidence in yourself, because there's so many people around you telling, no, you have to listen to this person. And I was one of those people that listened. You can get a lot better done. And you might have a reputation of being a tougher person to work with, but it's not really that. You're just standing up for yourself.
Standing up for yourself.
And I never stood up for myself.
I heard Saturday Night Live is dog eat dog.
I don't think it's as much as it used
Not
to be.
anymore, but I heard you had to be there at 8 with your
brutal.
things. Like if everybody had a call time at 10, you would have to be there at 8 to pull the producers aside, and the writers, and say, "Take a look at this." And then, "Oh yeah, we have some." Like you had to stay on top.
I talked to people like Dana Carvey and some of the other people around those times that were like, "Yeah, you had to write your own sketch." No, that just didn't even come from. That was from something that I heard David Spade talk about it, where David Spade talked about you would have to write the stuff with the writers and then perform it and make sure you were in on the writing, because if you let writers just write stuff, they'd give it to the people who are already famous. Like the more famous people on the show that are already broken, they want their sketches made and talked about, right? So you don't give it to the new person. You give it to the new person. There's a better chance of failure on your sketch. You write it, you come up with it, you give it to the main people because they're going to sell. You give it to Will Ferrell at the time. You give it to whoever's there, and you know that stuff's going to break, right? You or at least has a chance. You give it to somebody who's unknown, might be thrown at the end of the show because one of the big, 3 or 4 isn't in it, and you don't want the throwaway sketch. You want the show. You want the show opener or in the top 3 sketches, because that's when everybody's watching and cares about it. Unless it's something crazy that happens weird at the end, like a Tracy Morgan sketch that the first time's like, "I'm Brian Fellows," and it's like it's so weird that it takes off because of that. But you won't want that up front, because it's not the right time or feel, but later it becomes that. It works its way in. But as a writer, you want to give the stuff to the star. If the star is saying your words, you ever done this? You're in a table read, and for the people who listen to the podcast who don't know what table read is, it's when the first run through and read through of a sketch or a sitcom or whatever, and you say something, and who's laughing? The person who wrote it. Like 3 writers, you say something, it's kind of funny, but there's 3 people going, and nobody else is laughing in the room, and you don't understand at the beginning, but then it's three times in, three table reads in, and you're like, wait a second, they wrote that. That's why they're laughing. And then the writers are only laughing at their own stuff. They're shutting down other people's stuff. I'm not saying all people do this. And I think it's part of human nature. Like, you want your stuff to do well, and you're encouraging your own things. Like, sometimes you'd read something at a table read and you'd get a nervous laugh from like that kind of, like, they're not sure if it's funny or not, and nobody else is laughing, but the writer's like, and like you're going,
how long did it take you to realize all this was bullshit?
I mean, I think I knew pretty early on, but I'm a cynic from the beginning. I've never liked anything I've done. For the most part, I looked at anything I've ever done and I gone, I don't know. I'm a realist, and people, when they meet me, end up saying, "Oh, you didn't think that was good?" And I thought that sucked. What did you think about that thing? I thought that was pretty good, and I'm really proud of this. But most of the stuff I did along the way was a lot of acquiescing, a lot of giving in and compromising to other people's ideas. And it's good, but it wasn't my vision. It's not. I watched Frank TV stuff, the show you came on with me, and I go, oh man, I should have watched the editing of this, because this is really written well. But by the time it got through 3 different layers of editing, they chopped out all the air. And you need space, you need time in between lines, and you can't cut out setups. Because if you don't have the setups, it's just a bunch of punchlines, and there's no context to what the joke is. It's not a joke if it's just a punchline. It's a setup that doesn't make sense. If you don't have a setup in the joke, you need to say, why did they go to the store? Or why did the chicken cross the road? If you just said to get to the other side, why? I don't get it. And that's what a lot of times they would do in my show when I watch. I go, oh man, they're just doing to get to the other side. They're not doing the setup in it. I don't even know how it got there. And comedy's evolved, I think, too. Like, look at your podcast. You're a comedian. You're known as a funny person. You're funny in the moments, that need to be funny. The rest of the time, you're interesting. And I started this podcast with these guys. It's all about comic books and superheroes and stuff like that because I wanted to show people a different side of me. And I said, don't try to be funny on it. And it's all interrupting each other. It's like, try to be interesting. Be interesting, and people will care. Because, I mean, even your voice, Joey, your voice, I listen, you have that deep bass in your voice, and you have a way of talking, and you get to it. But I'm willing to listen and wait, and it pays off a lot of time to find out. I want to know what you did and how you got to that. But you have that. It's a lot of people, they don't. They just want to be funny, and trying to be funny, that's the one-liner guy we talked about.
The podcast.
Yeah.
The podcast, I quoted early on. People trying to be cute. It's not going to work. Everybody's funny.
Hey, I've caught myself.
Everybody's funny.
I've caught myself 10 times going, hey, do I try and do this little bitty thing here? And I go, no, that's not this place. This place is just talk. And it, like, because it's different. I don't know if it's different for you. You can tell me if you feel the same way. But when I go on like a radio station or something like that, and I'm on there for 20 minutes or however long, I've got a job to do, and that's sell tickets because I want to make the money there. Here, it's more like I want to be in your world. I want to be part of your world. If I came in here as jokey, in the first 10 minutes, you're going, hey, great podcast.
It's done.
And I love, say the word podcast.
Podcast.
It's just, I don't know why. Because we had a time issue thing, and it cracked me up because it made me learn something about podcasts too. You've actually taught me a lot in a little bit of time. Is you have a brand, you care about it, you want it to be something, don't mess with it, and I sometimes just get my podcasts over with if we don't have something I feel is great, because at the beginning you're just trying to figure your way out. But I said, hey, I got to catch this 4:30 flight. I got to be out of here at 3:30. And do you text? You don't text a lot. You call, right? Because
after the second text, I'm not going to text. Yeah, you just pick up the fucking phone. Just pick up the fucking phone. Jesus Christ,
and I have trouble with it.
It's like people on Facebook. How are you doing? I'm doing great. And then you go back to doing what you're doing, and now they want to have a conversation. And I'm like, listen, that's not going to happen.
I don't give you the how you doing. I just go right into the questions, but I realized early on it's going to be a phone call. So I say we were going to record this at 2:00, and I got to catch a 4:30 flight out of Burbank. It's only 10 minutes away. I got to get out there about 3:15. I didn't realize, I do 45-minute podcasts right now because we don't have the audience. We're trying to build. We're trying to find out who we are. I think it's a waste of time for me to do that much time. So I didn't realize you'll just go until you feel it's over. And
we'll wrap it up here in a second.
No, I want to go as long as...
I've been doing them short. Listen, nobody has the stamina to go 3 hours. Lee, nobody could sit there for 3 hours.
But I'm not saying I want to...
No. I told you something. It's like if you called me tomorrow and said, Joey, I want you to be on Frank TV. I love you, Joey. Don't come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. Just show up around 2:30.
Right.
And I go to you, Frank, I got to leave at 3:30. You're going to go, you know what? I don't want to put you through that, and I don't want to put myself through that.
Right.
Because this guy's going to be taping, and the whole time he's thinking about the traffic on the 405. I don't need that.
But I should
on both ends.
No. What I should have done, because I'd already changed the time on you a couple times trying to fix things. I was trying to say, hey, I really want to do this, and I didn't want to make it earlier. And then what I should have done is called you and realized then we don't have a text to look back at, and you see how many times I've changed. You're not going to fucking remember. So it's like, then you said, and I got scared. I'm like, no, I want to do this. This is where I'm trying to go in my career, life, whatever. I couldn't wait to be here. Like I did a lot of things in these last couple of days in LA.
How long have you been in LA for?
Just 2 days.
What do you think? I mean, when did you?
Let me finish. But when you said let's just do it another time, I got scared to death, and that's when I called you and or you called me, and I'm like, oh no, Mr. Diaz, can we please, can we do that? Like I was like, no, and then you said, well, let's do it at 1 o'clock.
I want to give my guest justice.
But it taught me that.
I
learned something, and not even that. It's the show, and you were 100% right. Don't try and fit it in. Do it right. And I'm like, I can do it right. And then you said 1:30. I'm like, I can be there at 1. You're like, I'll be there at 1.
We were here at 12:30. It's Frank. It's like you shoot Monday through Thursday. Everybody knows Frank Caliendo leaves fucking Friday to make his real money. He's doing a favor for you. And all of a sudden I come at you before you wrap and go, you got to be here tomorrow till 10, Frank.
Right.
Even though your flight's at 2.
Right.
Are you going to focus?
Yeah, you can't.
Can't focus.
100%.
I learned this I learned this during Analyze That in 2002 when they said I was the first scene up and you'll be out of there by 2:00. So I booked Rascals at 8. And guess what happened when I got there? You can't shoot early. The bar won't let you shoot till 4:00.
Right.
I'm like, oh no. I got the whole weekend at Rascals opening up for Rocky Laporte. It's Wednesday night. And now I'm trying to say
you and Rocky Laporte.
he didn't like me. Now I'm trying to open up I'm trying to do my line and I can't because I'm thinking about the 32-minute ride
Right.
to Rascals.
Yeah.
So that's why I say to
agree with
people,
you.
give me your time. When did you move to Arizona? When did you decide on Arizona? You were right here for a while.
Yeah, I
Right
had a
around
house
kids.
on Coldwater and Ventura.
Somewhere around here.
And it was originally owned by Bud Abbott, which was part of the reason I bought the house from Abbott and Costello, right behind the Ralphs over there. And so I think my daughter was born. I didn't want to raise my kids in L.A. I'm like, I think I just want to. And Phoenix was a place where it was a lot of people from the Midwest who just didn't want to be cold anymore. I just felt like so much was fake out here. I didn't trust anything, and I was like, we can either move way out, and then I might as well just fly into the airport anyways. So that was 13 years ago. So 13 years ago, I was either going to be Vegas or because I thought I might work there. But then I looked at Vegas. I'm like, this is obviously a terrible place to raise kids too. So I settled on Phoenix, and like that because it's just real, everyday, regular people. My wife's from Cleveland. I think she liked that more. The desert scape, not a lot of grass. She missed that. But in terms of, just having a neighborhood, it was the right move because we have like really nice neighborhood. Everything's right around us, and it's pretty safe feeling. So I was even shooting my show, the Frank TV show. I was flying in to do that every week. And I had two guys, Freddie Lockhart and Mike McRae. They were living at my house. I just had them.
Houston Mike.
Yeah. Is that? Yeah.
That's where he's from. Houston Mike.
Yeah. He's a brilliant guy, too.
Good guy. He showed up to I knew him before you got the show. I knew him from Houston as a feature actor.
Yeah.
And then, now.
I think he lives in Austin now.
Yeah,
but he's kind of like me where he went and did his own thing.
Yeah. He just
doesn't have a family.
Sometimes people come here and they go, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I like it. I get it.
And he's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
I mean,
I think he ended up doing Letterman.
Yeah, he did.
Later.
I actually think I helped him get on that. It was an impressionist thing.
Right.
And
Letterman
impressionist,
or
I'm like, you got to see this guy. He does this incredible Harrison Ford. And Eddie Brill might have seen him before that or something like that. But they brought him on and he just slayed. He's really, really good. And just a brilliant writer as a stand-up comedian. And he did a bunch of cartoon voices, I think, and I think he was even the voice of Buzz Lightyear for the toys.
Yeah.
So he did a bunch of things, but that was when I was trying to get more people on my show. They wanted to be the Frank Caliendo show, just Frank. I'm like, how about some other people? And they let me have a couple cast members, and those were the guys that got picked. Melissa Villaseñor, she was on the show, and I love going back and looking at people's bios because it's so funny. And now, because she was on America's Got Talent or I think that's the show. Her first show, she made her television debut on America's Got Talent. No. She was on Frank TV. Not that it matters, but I was like, I've been erased from history there. Come on, I had a couple people on that I'm very proud that I fought for, and because like
I got you on my IMDb.
Yeah, well, people.
I saw it. I looked a
people
couple
were,
weeks ago.
but people. There were people that the network or the producers like, no. I'm like, no. I really want this person on. I think that they're funny. They might not be 100% right, but they'll be funnier than the people you've got that you're bringing into me in this situation. I think it's the right person. I would fight. It's funny. I would fight for my own person some more than I'd fight for myself at times. And I think I'm actually better at that because I don't know, some self-worth kind of thing or something along the way. My dad used to tell me that. He's like, Frank, you don't have any confidence. I'm like, but I don't know. It's just me. It's where I'm coming from. It's who I am. So you got to have confidence.
You still work for Fox?
No. Because I went to ESPN a couple of years ago. It's so funny. I haven't been on the NFL on Fox for years, and people still think I'm on that. On that football show, because I was there for 9 years. I've been gone for probably 8 myself.
No Best Damn Sports?
No, that's not even on anymore.
No, but
I did some of that. That's how they got me that. That's how I got that show. Is because I went on and did a bunch of other impressions other than John Madden, and Jimmy Kimmel was leaving, and a couple other people were going to audition, and there were some pretty big people. It was Billy Gardell and Craig. plays he's very funny. He was on The Office. Craig Robinson. Brilliantly funny. They did a point counterpoint thing. Jeff Dunham was going to do a thing with puppets every week, and I got the job. And Dunham wrote about it in his book. He told me like that was the best thing that ever could have happened for him, that he didn't get that job because he started working on some other things and doing some different stuff. But I got that job and it was perfect for me for the time, but I got lazy. I started should have been a second job. I made it a first and got complacent with it. I was like, I'm making a lot of money and I'm really happy right now. But it was such a big thing. But I also didn't fight for myself to be me in anything. I should have fought to have myself in some of the sketches as myself, like playing off the characters or something, which I ended up doing some on Frank TV, which really helped. But then I was just the impressions, and you can't get other stuff from that. They need to see you be something else. Rob Riggle does that show now, and he does the characters and it plays himself, and he plays he gets other movie parts. And he was in movies before, great movies and stuff like that. But you play other things and people only see as one thing. I just pigeonholed myself so much into that I'm looking at it going, I should have done that differently, fought for myself to be, give a little more of myself. When the first ones, it didn't work. They put me at a bar. I've never been drunk. And I'm a bartender and I'm throwing to the impression thing. And it was kind of a weird thing they wanted because Kimmel was on a couch, which made sense. I'm like, I should be on a couch. I'm a regular guy. That's what I am. If there's anything I'm going to play, it's your neighbor who has, a couple kids or something like that. I'm not the bartender. I'm pretending to be a bartender right there from what we talked about at the very beginning. Truth. There's no truth in it. It didn't work. And I do find truth in the impressions, believe it or not. It seems like it might be the opposite, but it's really me coming through the impression. But I was faking. I just did what they said. They're like, let's make you a bartender, a pizza delivery guy, and then you become the character. And I said, yes, okay. Looking for the gimmick. It was too gimmicky. They cut it out, and I just went straight to the impressions of the sketch. But it didn't do anything for me in terms of helping me build a career. It just made me the guy who puts the wig on and the makeup, and now you're the impression.
Did John Madden ever end up talking to you?
Yeah, I made his grandkids laugh at the Super Bowl one time. This was in Dallas at the Four Seasons Hotel, and Jimmy Johnson standing next to him, football coach, not the race car driver. I'm like, Jimmy, can you believe I'm this close to John Madden? He's like, what? Yeah, met him. Taps Madden on the shoulder. Madden looks like, what is it? Oh, and the look on his face when he saw me was pure horror. It was like, that's the guy, it was like when Shaggy and Scooby see the bad guy pop out of the barrel, like, oh, let's get out of here, Scoob. It was this terrible look that went over his face. And, but I made his grandkids laugh. And when his grandkids laugh, I was like, I get it. Like, it came through his head. I'm like, can I get a picture with you? And up until then, he'd hated me. And I know that's true because network executives had told me. Like, I did a commercial. This is almost a Joey Diaz level commercial, but a little safer, but on the same side. So there's a commercial where John Madden's going to sing with some NASCAR driver, sing Christmas carols. And they wanted me to audition for it. I go, first of all, I'm not auditioning for a John Madden voiceover as his voice. You can either there's a lot of things I would audition for. That's not one of them. Just listen to me somewhere and you'll know I'm the guy who's pigeonholed himself as John Madden. So I go in, I'm like, what's the song? Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And it sounds like him. Like, this is unbelievable. By the way, I made them pay me to go to the audition. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. I made them pay me $1,500 to audition for something. And they said, we don't pay for an audition. That's ridiculous. I go, he's not going to let it happen. So this is the job. The job is me spending my time to go in there. You need to pay me $1,500. So they paid me $1,500 after seeing a tape. I did it. They're like, this is incredible. You sound exactly like him. And he saw it, asked who it was, or the management asked, or made me an agent, and I didn't get the job. And they were all crazy, like, this is incredible. You're right on the money. We didn't think we'd find anything like it. And then you watch the commercial. I saw the commercial one day later, and it's like, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Like, it's like they wanted completely jokey. They could have had it. And this is way before the story at the hotel. But then he met me and realized, hey, I'm just a regular guy. I'm having fun with this. It's a joke. It's not to try and destroy him. A lot of people think when you do an impression of them, you're trying to destroy and hurt them.
It's a form of flattery.
It can be, but it's also they're worried it's going to hurt their money. I don't think some of them don't care about that.
Unless it's a bad fucking impression.
Right.
If it's a great impression, like what you were doing to him, is great. Alec Baldwin is fucking the president is horrible.
Well, he's
It's
angry.
garbage.
I mean,
It's
it's
just
an
hot
angry
garbage.
thing, and it's only going to get
That show just every time I watch that show, I want to
when
put a
I
gun
do
in
Trump,
my
here's
house.
the thing. This is a tough thing for me because I have an audience. My audience is across the board, and I always want to respect people no matter where they are, even if I disagree with them in comedy. My job is to be silly, kind of Steve Martin thinking like I want to get you out there and I want you to forget stuff. Even if I'm going to do a Trump, I can't not do a Trump impression because he's out there. Everybody knows him. The audiences are so segmented. Nobody watches the same stuff. Like things winning Emmys are Marvelous Miss Maisel and all these different great shows, but it's so segmented. Nobody knows. Everybody knows politicians, and a lot of people know sports. But I'm going to go out there, and I have people walking out just because I go, that was the #1 impression, and people are just mad because it's Trump, and they might be a huge Trump supporter. I'm like, listen, I'm not, whatever. I'm not trying to make you mad. Just listen to jokes, and I'm talking about a personality. I did it with Bush. I did it with Obama. I did it everywhere with all these people. Now all of a sudden, I can't just make easy, not easy, but like non-political jokes. There's nothing political about this. It's just silly. But I walk that line, and if you decide that you hate me because I'm doing that, or I get this too, you're not being mean enough to Trump. What do you mean? That's not who I am. You want me to be angry about? There's things I don't like. I get it. I get why you might not like him. I get why I also understand somebody might like him because of something, because they've compartmentalized. We all do that in life. Like, I mean, it's terrible, but listen, it'll help me. And if everybody's out there for themselves in some way. You don't admit that you are. People won't admit that. They won't admit. We're all selfish. We all have a selfishness about them, about ourselves. Admit that. So I'm out there, and my selfishness is I'm trying to make money, and I'm trying to offend as least amount of people possible and just be silly. I'm not going to be as angry as It feels like when Alec Baldwin is doing that, I feel like he's playing to a very specific audience. And that's fine. You can do that because he's got that audience. He's at that level of an actor. I'm playing for everybody.
You still travel a lot?
Yes and no. It's up and down depending on what my kids are doing. So I'll go do a date here and a day there. What I'm working on now is I'll go to do I will go and do a night and work on. I like doing clubs a lot more because I'm working on changing who I am. So at a club, I can get that feeling of the closeness, the proximity of the audience, and I can try a lot of stuff that I'd never try on a theater stage or a casino stage. You go to the casino, those are $50, $60 tickets to go up there and goof around. And then I don't live in LA to go do a bunch of guest sets all the time and work on stuff. I work on stuff. I go do an hour and 15 minutes, and 20 minutes will be totally different stuff, and sometimes another 10 minutes of goofing around. And then I'll give them the best of stuff that some people paid to see. Because there's people who still, I'm like a rerun for a lot of people. I mean, not on TV, but on stage, people will come to see certain things, and it's, it's like a Brian Regan thing, or it's going to cup of dirt, and people are calling stuff out. So traveling, yes, and I pick the times. I just pick the times.
Where can they find you, these savages?
At frankonstage.com is the easiest. There's a couple California dates. I'm doing the Improv in a little bit. I'm not sure when we're airing exactly. So Niagara Falls at the Seneca Niagara.
It's a great club.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love that place.
There's Houston Improv. I'm not
Great
sure.
place.
Yeah, and the Niagara show will be a little bit different. Ridgefield, Connecticut, at the Ridgefield Playhouse, but that's a smaller 500-seater. I can mess around a little bit there. But at Frank Caliendo on Twitter, at Frank Caliendo at Instagram. I've been working on the Instagram. Make you take a couple pictures with me. Because I neglected that.
Today's world is.
That's all that. It's a mistake that I made, and I look back and go, I bet on Vine and Twitter's all angry people and information direct, or directly at you. And Vine went away, and the Instagram.
Vine is gone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been gone for a while.
Jesus, that's how
I'm glad.
hip I am.
Yeah. Well, I look at like your Instagram. You got 800,000 or a million or something like that, and I go, wow, that's it. And the podcasting side. Am I plugging too much right now?
No.
But I started doing that. Al Jackson and I, Al?
No, I know the name.
He's very, very funny guy. Had a thing that went viral a couple of years ago. I saw him. I'm like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to talk. It's called Alan Frank Try to Be Serious, and we actually talk about political topics without being political.
Apple?
It's like, what say that?
iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes and everything. It's we haven't even tried to put it on something bigger yet because we're still developing right now and trying to find our complete voice. We've only been doing it like a couple months. So you know how it is. You start to get along the way and you start to feel it, and then you start to bring guests on, and then you can do newer things. And we're just making sure our because he does it from Denver and I'm in Phoenix, and we do it over the internet. So, and we've got that down. But now when you bring a guest in, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah,
so, and I think that's really how you grow. You have interesting guests, and everybody's social media merges, and everybody talks about each other, and your other audiences find you. Like most of my audience, like I think that I don't know the last time I sat. We'd been sitting here for what, hour and a half or something like that.
Wrap it up. So that's why.
I'm not worried about that. I got plenty of time.
Okay, you do?
Oh yeah. When's the last time I sat down and just talked with somebody for this long? I threw a couple voices in so people remember it's me, but it's like, this is me. This is who I am. People see that a little bit, and that's why I started that Comic Playground podcast that's on iTunes too. It's so people can see another version of me, and I'll do all the stuff. I'll do the puppet show. That's part of what I do, is throwing that stuff in here and there. But when people, like we said at the very beginning, you know where I'm coming from, it's easier to latch on. It's easier to know the person. It's better to know. I've always been so amazed. I go and watch somebody like Lewis Black, and there are elements of polished stuff, but he's just talking. At times, you do it too. You can just tell the story. You talk, but
bring them down to humanity level.
Yeah, but it's hard to do. Like, but when people, have you ever opened for a music act?
Yes.
People go there with the mindset of, I want to listen to music, and you're up there doing jokes, and I'm my own band playing after myself because people are waiting for the impressions, and I'm just talking for a while. This is one, like years ago. This is right. I think it was after. No, it might have been before Vegas. I don't know what it was, but Celine Dion's people wanted me to go on the road with Celine Dion to open for Celine. I'm like, what audience do you think I'm known for sports stuff. I have a lot more to me, but that's what I've shown people. But I'm definitely not for Celine Dion's audience unless it's for all the husbands and boyfriends.
Oh, I would have to fucking shoot myself.
Could you imagine?
Fucking Celine.
Like, I couldn't even think about. Like, I would have died. And what they ended up getting was a singing impressionist, which, okay, that makes sense. You didn't want the guy who at the time did the John Madden and the the President Bush or whoever was there at the time. Like, okay, at least that I know why they came for me. But they were offering like money. It wasn't incredible money, but it was good money to go tour with Celine Dion. A lot of people just said yes. I'm like, I'm going to tank at this. It's just and I don't want to adapt.
No, people have opened up a chair and died. That's two different fucking animals,
yeah.
Frank. I like stand up. If it's the Allman Brothers, I'm in the OD. I'm in. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to go on a band and do drugs and fuck the leftovers, Motley Crue, and get syphilis, I'm in. But I'm going to open up for Celine Dion and drink bottled water. Get the fuck out of here.
We are so the same person.
Yeah, fuck
If there's one thing I've learned today, you and I are mirror images of each other in life.
Up for Celine Dion. I'm going to stab myself in the next 80 times.
I've lived a pretty clean. Listen, I've got flaws, and I've been a pretty bad person at times in my life. But you're one of those guys. It's like when I watched Tombstone and watched Val Kilmer play Doc Holliday. I wanted to be him.
Somewhere along the line, you fucked somebody in the ass. Right? In college, you came in somebody's mouth. You ain't no fucking angel, Frank Caliendo. Next time you're in town, you're always welcome on the show.
I'd love to come back.
Thank you very much for taking the time.
No, thank you.
Phoenix. And call me, and I'll get you up on Segura.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get you out.
Oh, I'd love that.
So go home for a couple weeks, get your head together.
Yeah.
And call me and go, what do you recommend? And we'll put you around.
I'd love that. Yeah, I'm going to start networking.
Yeah, you have to. This is like steel.
I appreciate
Listen, I remember people would go, this motherfucker gets up at 4 and calls 3 fucking radio stations every day. You invented this. It just changed.
I did.
The game just changed.
Yeah, I did.
You invented this. You were the one that put the fucking
Listen, let me tell you about opportunities missed. There was a time I was the number one thing on YouTube before Cat That Has a Heart Attack, something like that took over. I was the number one thing on YouTube with the Bush versus Clinton comparison. Now this is before I have almost no subscriptions because I didn't follow up on it. The original one still gets a couple thousand hits a day, and it's Bill Clinton versus George W. Bush. How are they alike and how are they different kind of thing. But there was like writers and bloggers were calling it the Frank Caliendo effect. Before YouTube was the thing, I was number one on it for a while. And this is before History of Dance. And it still probably only has 15 million things. But I had 2 million when people had 10,000.
Well, it's time you like Gladiator. It's time to get fucking Rome back. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get Rome back. I want to thank Frank Caliendo. I want to thank the Christ Killer. But most importantly, I want to thank you savages for listening to the show and supporting us every week.
Your commercials at the beginning, your
please.
Sponsors. Maybe I've never heard anybody. I fucking use it.
Let these motherfuckers.
Unbelievable.
You gotta sell.
Yeah.
It's the
Sell.
Right now, we're living in an R-rated world. Whoever does R-rated commercials on the internet first is gonna make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just pulling flowers. Out of
It's
their
memorable.
ass like a magician.
You're the only.
I told Lee yesterday. How many actual campaigns?
You're like my uncle. You're getting angry. For
How many
something
actual?
I gave you a compliment. You get angry.
How many actual commercial campaigns are there anymore? That you would get a call 10 years ago and say you're shooting 10 Kia commercials. You're shooting 4 Kia commercials. There's no more campaigns anymore. Right. It's all on the internet. So when somebody comes up and goes, "Hi, Harry's Plumber. Let me unplug your asshole for you." That guy is going to fucking get 1,000 calls that day. I want to thank Frank, the Christ Killer, and I want to thank you guys for supporting the show. And go see Frank in Connecticut, Houston, and Seneca. You know I love you motherfuckers. And you Canadians, come down here and watch Frank Caliendo and learn something. Stop fucking sitting up there looking at a flag with a leaf on it and shit. All right. I want to thank Frank. I want to thank the fucking Christ Killer. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys. Do not forget, there's one show available, a late show for Saturday night in Milwaukee. You guys are going to rock. It's myself and Dean Del Rey. Minneapolis is all fucking sold out. We didn't have a second show. Milwaukee, we got the second show. We're ready for you. Get ready to rock. Bring the reefer. Bring the heroin. Bring the mashugana pills. Whatever you got, we're fucking going deep, all right? Like I said, I want to thank Frank. I want to thank the Christ Killer. But you guys always hit it out of the park. Oh, and now for a word from our sponsors. Let me tell you something, all right? Quip is the better the electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. Quip was designed to make brushing your teeth more simple, affordable, and even enjoyable. One of the most important things we do for our health every day is brushing our teeth, yet most of us do not do it properly, all right? Number one, they got a multi-use cover that mounts to your mirror and it unmounts to slide over your bristles for on-the-go brushing. Why? It declutters your sink space and cabinet and makes traveling with the electric toothbrush easier. Quip doesn't require a clunky charger and runs for 3 months. 3 months on one charge. The sonic vibrations is gentle enough on your sensitive gums. People brush too hard, and some electric toothbrushes are too abrasive. I know the ones I've had before, that's why I stopped using them. They just fuck up my gun. Not with Quip. Quip keeps your mouth clean. It has a pulsar which buzzes every 30 seconds to remind you when to switch sides. It's helping you guide to a full and even clean. And the brush heads are automatically delivered on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5. All right, 3 out of 4 of us bristles. We brush our teeth with toothbrushes that are old, worn out, and ineffective. It ends today. Quip is the way to go. It's one of the first electric toothbrushes accepted by the American Dental Association and has thousands of verified 5-star reviews. What I'm going to do for you is this, all right? I love Quip because it declutters. It has the sonic, the vibrations, and the best thing I like about it is a 2-minute pulsar. That's tremendous. All right, these are the reasons why I love Quip, but the main reason is because they're backed by 20,000 dental professionals. Quip starts at $25, and if you go to getquip.com/Joey right now, you can get your first refill pack for free. Free, bitches. 3 days after taxes, I'm giving it away shit for free. That's your first refill pack for free at getquip.com/Joey. Go to getquip.com and get the best electric toothbrush in the market today, all right? The podcast is also brought to you by Manscaped. Every time my wife trims around the fucking beanpole or my nutsack, my blood pressure raises 160 over the fucking 100. Don't cut your dick off, fucko. The suffering and the anxiety ends today. With Manscaped, you can get it done right without the pain and suffering. You don't got to feel like Jesus before he got killed. Nothing like that. They got precision tools for your family motherfucking jewels. Manscaped has redesigned the electric razor. Their invention is the lawn mower, a handheld razor with skin-safe technology so it won't nick or snag your little fucking sack. It's very gentle. And the older you get, the thinner the skin gets. You got to go easy on what the Lord gave you. This bad boy will leave you clean, smooth, and pain-free. Plus, it's rechargeable and very easy to hold. Get in on all the nooks and the fucking crannies. Manscaped will get you a little beanbag looking like Lee's fucking head when he shaves. Smooth as a fucking egg. And I'm not going to let you get off with the little secret. If you trim the hedges, that fucking beanpole look a lot bigger. What the fuck are you waiting for? Trim that fucking egg roll with Manscaped. Now, at manscaped.com, you can get everything you need to make your balls shine and keep your dick looking like a fucking Mona Lisa. You understand me? If this is the first time you've considered manscaping, they got the deal for you. And if this is the first time you consider manscaping, you should be ashamed of yourself, you filthy fucking animal. Manscaped has the perfect package, which comes with a lawnmower and a safety razor plus, the crop preserver. You're like, Joey, what's the crop preserver? It's a specially formulated deodorant so your balls don't stick like a dead fucking body. You understand me? Right now, sniff your balls. They look like They smell like Nipsey Hussle's fucking feet. He's been in the casket for a week. Get your life together, motherfucker. And the Reviver is a spritz that tones and refreshes your junk to keep your nutsack cool like a fucking ice cube because you don't want your balls hot, especially now it's summertime coming. Listeners can go to the church right now and get 20% off your first order when you use the code CHURCH at manscaped.com. Right now, if you order the perfect package, they'll also throw in a free travel bag when you use the code CHURCH. That's manscaped.com. Use promo code CHURCH and get 20% off your first order. Listen, bitch, summer's coming. Keep your nutsack clean. The podcast is also brought to you by Onnit. #1 when it comes to supplements in my motherfucking book. Who else gives you, if the Alpha Brain don't work for you, we give you 100% money back guarantee. We let you keep the fucking product. That's pride. That's commitment. That's something a lot of companies don't have today. Onnit is the way to go. With the Shroom Tech Immune, the Shroom Tech Sport, the fucking jerky, the protein powders, everything. Aubrey goes out of his way to make everything the #1 that he gets. I've had conversation with him. How long he searched for the cacao for the fucking protein powder. It took him like a year to find the perfect fucking cocoa, whatever the fuck it is, COCOA. I don't know how to spell it. I got left back in the 7th grade. But anyway, with all that said, go to Onnit.com right now. If you like the vitamins, if you like what you read, on the checkout, press in.
Church.
And get 10% off delivered right to your fucking house. No drama, no nothing, okay? That's how Onnit works. So go to Onnit and give them a look over. And I can't do nothing for you on the weights and the bath and the kettlebells. I can help you with the supplements. So go to Onnit.com right now and press in.
Church.
And get 10% off delivered right to your motherfucking house. I want to thank Onnit. I want to thank Quip Electric Toothbrushes. And I also want to thank Manscaped for sponsoring us and the love they give us. And we give you the same love, too. Don't forget, tickets still left. From Milwaukee to Pabst motherfucking Theater, go to Pabst.com right now or Wikipedia it and they'll tell you what the site is. I have no fucking idea. I got enough on my fucking hands. I love you motherfuckers. I want to thank Caliendo. I want to thank the mayor of Auschwitz. But again, I want to thank you guys for being a loyal fan base. And we're not even fans. We're fucking family, bitch. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning, nice and motherfucking early. Kick this mule, Lee.